you love. It's time to give you what you love. I'ma give you what you love. Give you what you love. I am sharper than a switchblade, first and last of what God made, and that's the truth. But man, keep on trying to hold me back while another chicken head come on loose. Too strong, try to do me wrong, and the last one standing will order and command you to dance. Oh, dance. Run tell your preacher and your teacher, I'ma give you what you love. I got to give you what you love. It's time to give you what you love. Give you what you love. Give you some love. Yeah, baby. I said I take your time, take what you love, baby, just enough, but never too much, baby. Take your time, take what you love and work that baby cry. You better look at that, baby. Take your time, take what you love, baby, just enough, but never too much, baby. Take your time. I went and give you some love. Won't you give me what you
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Source. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my happy little voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, Mother has a lot on her mind. In fact, I woke up this morning with, all due honesty, with a lot of anxiety, something that I don't usually experience. But what I did was I talked to my husband. So for this first hour, we are going to take callers. You want to call in, you want to talk to Mother, you have some opinions of your own. I am happy to chat with you and to catch up on the weekend and all the things that have been happening, because we've been following the news like everybody else and trying to deal with things as they happen. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about today, and I'm sure every other host up until you got to me has already discussed it, but I am going to discuss it. On Thursday morning, while in my house, I got notice. My husband actually called me and said CNN just announced that Senator Kamala Harris was in Philadelphia and in West Oak Lane. I live one neighborhood over from West Oak Lane. And so I decided to send a friend of mine to go see where she was, and they found her at Relish. Unbeknownst to me at the time, and we all know this. If you're in the media, you realize that we have to go through Secret Service to get media passes, blah, 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 blah. That was not my issue. My issue was every local media outlet did not get notice about this until the very last second, and there was no place for us to be. When we asked what was going on, we were told that media, it was national media that was given precedence over this. Here is my question as a radio show host, as a media person, and third and least, and not the least important, as a black woman with a voice that has an audience like so many of the other media people in Philadelphia. Pennsylvania, we need Philadelphia to carry Pennsylvania. Joe Biden needs Pennsylvania to win this election. What I could not understand was why were we not made aware? We didn't have to show up to the sister-to-sister event. I am aware that Solomon Jones was there at that event. I'm not sure how he got it. I've been given conflicting reports that you spoke to Sherelle Parker and some other things, but the rest of us were not. And, you know, I talked to all my other media friends. Some of them were fussing. I talked to people in the Democratic Party at the highest levels of the Democratic Party confidentially, and they said that they too were flummoxed about what was going on and how it played itself out. So here's what I'm going to say to all of you who are listening. We have to get to a place where we do this a little differently, right? We want the average citizen. Yes, we know Secret Service had to vet people. Yes, we know you couldn't have everybody in there. I want to know personally who was the communications person for Sherelle Parker, because you know, this could have been done just a little differently. Are you all aware that every time President Trump has something in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania, we get notice of it? We know days in advance where President Trump or his people are going to be. Why is it so difficult for us to get the same kind of notices from the Democratic Party? We're not asking to show up to the events and hobnob. We're doing a job. We're doing a job to make sure that the people of this Commonwealth and that the people in the city of Philadelphia understands what's happening. If we want folks to vote a certain way, if we want folks to even come out and vote, we have to give them the grace and the space to talk to them. And so for those of us who are in the media, Frankie Darcell, Lorraine Ballard-Morwell, Luann Kahn, Cherry Gregg, all of us, you know, and so many more, Manny, all of us that are in the media, Black Talk Media, you know, for those of us who are here and are absolutely wanting to do what is right on behalf of our citizenry and for the jobs that we are doing, that was not handled well at all. At all. And so you know, no shade to anyone who is doing what they do. And I looked and I saw, you know, the rich and the famous sitting at that Sister to Sister event. And I'm saying to myself, that was a totally missed and lost opportunity for those of us who really wanted to get what we needed to have done on behalf of the people here. If we're sitting here every day talking about the fact that we are supposed to, you know, get folks out to vote, if we're sitting here every day talking about the fact that people need to do what is right, and then I show up, now literally, if I didn't have the temerity and the gumption to chase in my car to go figure out where Kamala Harris was so that I could sit here and report to the people off this radio station, using my voice to get people to know what was going on, and then had a friend of mine stay out there. She stayed out there for well over an hour and a half just to see Kamala. Her husband spoke to Kamala. They reported back to me so that I could report back to you. It shouldn't be that difficult, y'all. It should not be that difficult for us to get media notices to say, this is what's getting ready to happen. You can't come to the event, but if you had a pool for the media, so media could show up and talk. We're not asking for people to show up because there's so much going on with COVID-19. And so this was, yeah. So I love you all to pieces. I understand that what we're doing, but if President Trump can send us emails with alarming alacrity, every time he's going to be in the state of Pennsylvania, we know exactly where, we know the date, we know when, we know all of that stuff. Why can't we have the same thing for the other party? Right? And so this is where I am with all of that. I would like us moving forward. I am aware that the senator and Joe Biden are going to be back in town time and time again, because we are aware they need over 400,000 votes for them to win the elections. But we don't win elections by having meetings with just a certain group of people and the media, who is the one that is able to push this stuff out. The national media is nice, and yes, they can report from a national level, but we live here in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, and so we should have had a shot at really making this happen. I'm getting off my soapbox. For those who have ears, let them hear. If you can take this this feedback, because it's not, I'm not trying to make you feel horrible about this. I'm giving you crucial feedback because we are the ones, and some of us are not just in the media. We really want to make sure that people hear and know what is going on out in the community. If you look at the powerful black women that are in Philadelphia that have the kind of audiences that would have been able to push this out to get people to understand and to hear Kamala's voice and to, find out where she's from and what she's doing, then this would have turned out a little differently. But I have to tell you, my phone lines were hot Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this morning I said a very nice prayer before I came on the air so that I could find out what exactly was going on. So if someone wants to call me and give me an idea, and I'm sure there are plenty of people sitting behind their closed doors in their offices listening to this station and not really saying anything, but there was a lot to pass around. There were many, many ways we could have been made aware that this was happening, and we didn't have to be in the events, but that we could cover it in some way, shape, or form. We could have even shown up to the street where she was going to be. I mean, really, people. It was such a missed and lost opportunity that I'm still shaking my head. And so we've got to do and be better in this city of Philadelphia. Jacob, how are you, sir?
Hey, peace be unto you, my sister.
Peace be unto you, too, sir.
You're a little fired up there. You're a little fired up.
I'm trying.
Calm down. Get your pressure right. You know what I'm saying. But you know what? Now I heard what you said. But let's look at it like this. Mm-hmm. The difference is 45 want crowds, COVID-19 or not.
Right.
He don't care if you wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants big crowds everywhere he goes, especially black people.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it was that, first of all, if anything, I would blame the people who brought her in because she don't know who to contact.
Right.
When she's coming in town. So if Dwight Evans was there, if there's a reason, we should be asking him why he did it that way, or Sherelle Parker, I heard her name, whatever. But we got to be careful. Let's not throw out the baby with the wash.
Right.
Because we're dealing with people who really ain't got no character.
Exactly. And, so, you know what, Jacob, I want to thank you for that piece of it, because here, I want you to hear me. I'm not asking for them to let folks know so that they could have a major crowd. I was asking for them to let the media know so that we could inform the people. You understand what I'm saying? And there were socially distanced ways we could have done it to make sure that you all were aware of what was going on. There was so much confusion, and that is what I'm trying to stop moving forward.
But you know what? But my sister, I believe that's why they kept it quiet, because they didn't want the confusion. Because I'm telling you, I love my people. I know my people. They would have been there where the security, the Secret Service wouldn't have been able to leave, because there's been so many people crowded there because they just want to see, it's almost like rock star.
Yeah.
That she was here. So, and then, like you said, we have to be real careful because do you know how many white supremacist people don't want this black woman to be in the vice presidency because she's a sneeze away from the
presidency?
Right. So we got to be. We're dealing with people who have no character, who are outright liars. You look at Lindsey Graham. You look at Moscow Mitch, who said what they said, and I like what Schumer did. He put Moscow Mitch's exact words in the post, right? But they don't care. They're liars. They have no character. And what is this to teach our young people about government? That government is just a nest of rotten snakes with no human character? Or because it's still easy. I mean, if they never came to Philadelphia, right? Okay, I'm just saying. That's no reason not to vote for them and vote for this other squad, because, I mean, they're totally rotten. I mean,
so Jacob, so let me say this to you. We still have a large segment that are not sure they want to vote for this group, right? And so as media, it's incumbent upon us to report to them what is going on so that we can help them to make up their minds one way or the other, whether they vote for the other group or vote for this group, right? Because we have to be impartial in what we're doing. What I am saying is local media, not nobody from the local media. Come on, Jacob.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
See, but I mean, that doesn't make sense. But I'm sure between now and November 3rd, there's going to be a date where local media and everybody going to get a chance to. I'm sure this is not the last time that or Biden is going to be in Philadelphia, because they know the significance of Philadelphia. But you know, I mean, I'm going to give them a chance. I'm going to give them a chance, and I'm going to see what they're working with. But the questions I would be asking would be I heard Sherelle Parker. I heard Dwight Evans. I would be asking them.
Yeah, you know? and I asked, and I was told from Sherelle Parker's camp that, she had to follow what Secret Service told her to do. And
right.
So, and that makes sense, right? In order for us to cover any event, we have to be vetted by the Secret Service. We get it. But again, there were ways that the local media could have been involved. We didn't have to show up at the events, but there were certain places where they could say, be here. We would, not for the regular folks, because we are in COVID, and it's something I'm going to talk about next, after I come back from break. But thank you, my brother. Keep listening. And, I thought I wasn't throwing fire out my eyes. I thought I was really cool and smooth today, Jacob. I worked really hard on it. Is Jacob gone? All right. Brother Michael.
Hey, good afternoon, sister. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? What can I do for you?
I tell you what, you have been right on point in coming out and speaking about this. I, like you, were extremely angry. This is unacceptable. There are many different ways that this could have been done, and there's no question about it. I mean, even if you were told by the Secret Service, Biden and our sister Kamala, they have an office here. Mm-hmm. It should have started there. You go to their campaign office and you help them understand how important all votes, but more specifically the
black vote is. Yes.
And that's what you're advocating for. We're not advocating to be a part of a show, and our sister is a celebrity. Our sister, we want to push her in there because we know that she is brilliant, and we know that she has an opportunity maybe one day to be the first black woman to be president, and she seems to possess many of the credentials. In fact, exceeding most of the credentials and requirements of being a president. So, also, most of you hosts, if not all of you, you have worked too hard daily to encourage people
to vote.
In some cases, beating back naysayers.
Yes.
And come on the radio.
Yes.
And not even being tolerant of anything negative. So it is Miss Parker, Dwight Evans. No, you do not get a pass. You do not get to give us an excuse. It is totally unacceptable. Talk about this is the most important vote ever in the history of this country. Okay? It is. Then every opportunity, our sister, Kamala Harris, gets to come to Philadelphia and motivate the people that's on the fence.
Yes.
Our brothers and sisters who are not voting.
Yes.
Our communities are not voting.
Yeah.
We need to see her.
Yeah.
We need to be able to understand that she's here, so maybe we can turn the TV on.
Yes.
Even if we can't go to the event.
Yes.
And see her.
Yeah, Brother Michael, let me say this to you. I was standing outside Relish when she was coming out, and they were trying to usher her to the left, to either to her car or to the tent, and I called out to her, and she stopped. And she said a few words, but what I heard the people around me saying was this. One woman who lived several doors up the street, she said, listen, if they bring this woman here and all they have is a bunch of meetings with her behind closed doors, and we can't even get at least to talk to her to something, even if we just get to wave, so we can hear something from her, this is a wasted visit. This was from the people on the street. We've got to hear their voices, right? They're the ones that are going to be the ones going to the ballots, putting in their mail-in ballots, putting in there. And so for me, me, I want folks to recognize that this goes beyond us, inviting in the people that we know and love to come and sit and listen to Kamala Harris. That's wonderful, but we really don't have the time for missed opportunities like this one, and I don't want to see it happen again. That's all I'm saying. All right?
I'm right with you as well. Right. I am saying the same thing.
All right.
We don't want to see missed opportunities, and we're not going to accept any missed opportunities.
Yep.
So thank you again.
You're quite welcome, my brother. You have a good one, okay?
Right.
All right, bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your morning commute on Wake Up with Word. Weekdays 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. hosted by Solomon Jones. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
He knew. Donald Trump knew how deadly COVID was months ago, and he lied about it. Just listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people, to plenty of young people.
Donald Trump knew as early as February just how deadly COVID was before anyone even died, and he did nothing about it. His indifference cost tens of thousands of black lives.
It goes through air, Bob. You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus.
Nearly 200,000 dead. 1 in 5 are black. This virus is literally killing us, and Trump did nothing to stop it.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you, I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
Too late, Mr. President.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. Reverend Joe, are you there?
Yeah, no problem, man.
How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. It's always good to talk with you and to keep up the good work. I need to make 2 statements that's getting by to people real quick here. 1957 in September, the 4 little girls in the church in Alabama was killed, and I don't know if you know the story. Why they?
I do.
Okay, but do you know why they was downstairs, not upstairs?
No, sir.
Because they didn't have money for the collection for the Sunday school.
Oh.
They went down and waiting for the collection to be taken. So how you like that for a sad story? The Little Rock line that happened in 1957 too, and we had a preacher that was with us. He since died. Reverend Rice. He was one of the people fighting. Some of his children were part of that integration of Little Rock School and Little Rock, Arkansas. So we should know all that. The main thing I called about is this 1988 Congress passed a resolution that September should be the month for the preservation and of Negro spirituals and gospel songs and music, because of the important part the music played in our struggle for freedom. I haven't heard nobody talk about it. And I tell you the truth, if we don't preserve this story and this music, our young people will never know it because they can't hear it on the radio anymore.
Right.
So I'm trying to do all I can do in that, and this month is almost out, and we should really actually know the importance that music played. It was Dr.
Bloxon collection. All that information is at his library temple because it's a book out talking in riddles and speaking in code. And that's what the music was, because all these Africans had different dialects. They couldn't talk to each other, but they could do it with the music and the drums. And so that's why when the white folks figured out what they were doing, they outlawed the drums. And we still have the music with a lot of messages in the music.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with religion or Jesus. That's what people get mixed up. The good ship Jesus, they're talking about Jesus. That was a ship coming. They wanted to get back on and go back to Africa.
So, Reverend Joe, this is like the third or fourth time you've said this to me. I'm going to have Brianna look this up. Tell me again. Mike is going to write it down.
1988, it was passed by the Congress to the restoration and the declaration of the preservation of Negro spirituals and gospel music.
Okay, Negro spirituals and gospel music. I have Negro spiritual and gospel. All right, thank you, sir.
Would you say something about that? If you look it up, see what it says.
I will. We will. I'm going to do that now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, sir. Bye-bye. So listen, Reverend Joe and I, he's been saying this to me a few times, and every time I said I'm going to look it up because of everything that's going on around the country, I don't, I don't know. So much is going on. So let me say this to you. This weekend, on top of everything that was going on with Kamala Harris's visit, I think Biden visited since she visited or before. Again, I am getting no media support in terms of getting media acknowledgement that these people are coming in. I just don't know. But I get everything from Trump's campaign. So there has to be another way for us to do this. So on top of dealing with all of that, I hear that two people that I know well not only had COVID-19 and recovered, they've since been diagnosed with COVID-19 again. And I keep saying to you all, please wear your mask. Please. I go out, folks are saying to me, don't wear my mask while I exercise. I have to tend to disagree with you. Just because we're outside does not mean that this virus is not floating around in the air. We see that masks work more than anything else. I take 3 or 4 masks with me and I change them out interchangeably as I am exercising, because as they get wet, according to Dr. Ayla Stanford, then they're not going to then they're not as good because they're porous, right? And I see people out here with no mask on, nothing. I come into the studios, I'm Lysoling down everything, I'm wiping everything down, making sure, not just for myself, but for anybody that's coming behind me. And then my friends have started posting on Facebook because I'm telling them about this. One said a young man in his teens got COVID, because we think that young people, they get it and they're okay and they walk away and they're fine. And a month later wasn't feeling well, walked into the emergency room and dropped dead of a coronary. People are recovering from COVID with healthy, had healthy lungs before they got COVID, recovering, and now need lung transplants. We have people who need kidney transplants. I mean, come on, and then the flu season is coming again. And so I really want us to pay attention to what's going on around us. You can walk anywhere in this city and see people exercising at will, having conversations at will with no mask on. At what point do we realize that the Dow Jones dropped over 800 points, probably 900 points at this point, right? When I left my house, it was over 800 points. And things are not getting any better. Over 200,000 people have now died from this virus. So are we going to wait until it's somebody that we know personally? Friends, parents are dying. People who got married last year, their husbands and wives are dying. At what point do we stop and say, let us practice, common sense and take care of ourselves out here? I just can't. I just cannot. All right. Glenn from North Philly. Glenn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you, sir?
I just heard what you said. What I wanted to ask you, though, what proof do you actually have that the 200,000 people died of COVID?
So these are the people that are reporting to the CDC from the different states that they've died.
Other than what they tell you.
So listen, as a journalist, I can only report what is given to me and from the sources that we got, right? And we work hard to vet those sources to make sure that they are credible. People are dying. Are you denying that people are dying?
No, but I do know this. The Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization went into Africa in the 80s and infected those people in Zaire with AIDS and HIV. I do know that. So we're trusting the same people and their information.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing that?
So, Glenn, let me say this to you. I am, as a journalist and as a mother and as a wife and as a black woman, for me, it makes better sense. It doesn't harm me to wear my mask. It certainly doesn't harm me to put on my mask, right? And it certainly doesn't harm me to wash my hands every time I go in and out of anything. And it certainly doesn't harm me to take off my clothes that I wear outside to make sure that I'm not carrying anything into my house. In fact, before they decided that COVID was out here, no one could walk in my house with their shoes on. There were people who decided they didn't want to come because I was too bougie and I was making much ado about nothing. But if we're dragging germs from outside into our homes, that is a problem. And so I told them, thank you for sharing. You don't have to come. Now everybody's doing the same thing, right?
If I can ask you this, right? And does this make sense for people to that have respiratory problems be forced to wear the mask? I, for one, am claustrophobic.
Okay.
And I have panic attacks when I wear the mask.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, the same people that are forcing you to wear a mask will sit downtown outside, put the mask down like the virus is supposed to take a break and be polite and not infect them while they eat. Does that make sense?
A lot doesn't make sense right now, and you're absolutely right. I can't even disagree with you, because you're right. The virus does not take a break when we put the mask down to eat. It does not. So every time we do it, we are taking a risk. You're absolutely right.
One last point. Yeah. This is Black Talk Radio. Right, and it's supposed to put information out to black people and inform us. But I don't really, and I haven't heard this station, like other white stations, talk about mandatory vaccinations that are coming.
Are we supposed to be talking about it, sir?
Well, we're supposed to be preparing ourselves to fight against mandatory vaccinations, mandated vaccinations.
So are you aware, and I learned this on my way into the radio station today and actually looked it up. I haven't been able to print it, that there are two presidents of HBCUs in New Orleans, Louisiana, who was encouraging...
Xavier.
Encouraging the students there to take the vaccine.
Which is stupid.
So I just heard about that on my way into the radio station. So I'm going to do some research on that. But there's so much going on, sir. And we're trying to keep people alive and trying to get them out to vote and try to keep this country. As a black-owned radio station and as radio show hosts, we're giving the best information at the best time in the best way we know how to. So we encourage you to call in, and we thank you, okay?
We need to tell our people to watch those vaccinations and to watch those tests.
Yes, sir.
Because if you go back in the beginning, they actually the feds found that the actual tests were infected with the virus. That's number one. Number two, 7 countries rejected the test that came, the coronavirus test that came from China, because they gave out false positives, and people can look that up on the radio station.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in. You have a wonderful day, okay?
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Brother, spread love.
God bless, Mama Andrea.
Mike, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Selassie I live. Give John the glory. We give thanks and praise.
Yes. How you doing?
Rastafari.
Ever living, ever faithful, ever sure. Yes.
Yes, but you know, John live.
What can I do for you, sir?
Well, give John the glory, Empress, for calling to give thanks, you know.
Yeah.
For the eye show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. We're WRD family, you know.
Yeah.
And God bless. Is Brother Mike on the boards today?
Yes, Brother Mike is on the boards today.
Bless. And you mentioned Empress Brianna earlier?
Yes.
Bless both them hearts. They're doing a great job, you know.
Yeah, well, thank you, sir. Is there anything else you want to talk with me about?
Well, I would first and foremost, every time, you know, we say God bless the victim, everyone in the sufferation.
We appreciate it, yes.
Yeah, and God bless everyone who really work from them hearts, so God bless them to make it better, you know? Seeing. And Empress, did you also catch the irony of that from WKDO, you remember? All right. Mama, this McCarthy say really true, no? First, I got to speak Yankee so the people understand me, you know?
Yes.
All right. First, to Minister Joe, I thank him every time. He always be hitting it on point. And I like that he mentioned the book, Talking in Riddles and Speaking in Code, because one thing I think I hear a lot of people suffer from is they think they got it figured out,
But you remember reading Scripture. The Scriptures say you think you got to figure it out, you ain't even figured out, you ain't got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that humility is what we need in order to make this better.
Mm-hmm.
So I ain't knocking nobody. And a lot of people bring forward some good points.
Mm-hmm.
But can we remember we really don't know?
Yeah.
And not to say we ain't finding out,
Mm-hmm.
but that frame of mind can help lead to the healing.
Yes.
How you going to get right till you admit you're wrong? But I ain't knocking nobody. Also, one more thing I wanted to say real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The coronavirus, I keep hearing reports that just make me realize these people really don't know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what this thing is.
Because it keeps mutating, right? Every time they think they have it figured out, it keeps mutating.
It could be that. It could be 5G technology. It could be stuff being released from the glaciers melting. It could be a lot of things going on.
Right.
That unfortunately, I think people are being too narrow-minded and not taking into account.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I appreciate the previous caller. I forget the elder's name,
Yes.
but he was bringing in stuff from outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say outside the casket.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get free until we think and behave outside the box?
Mm-hmm.
And I just leave it like this. I listen to WRD because every once in a while I get glimpses of the voice of freedom, the voice of liberation. I would like to hear more of that, not the voice of indoctrination. And I ain't knocking nobody, but the goal ain't never been to participate.
Right.
The goal has always been to get free.
Yeah, and I hear you.
God bless
I
you,
absolutely hear you. Take it easy, man.
God bless you.
All right, bye-bye. Hey, I can't even knock him on it because Lord Jesus, we can't talk about that right now. Prince, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you today?
Listen, Mother, it's Monday. It's one of those Mondays, you know.
The brother say he ain't knocking nobody. You know what I mean? That's like saying with all due respect.
What's up, Prince?
So this is the problem that Philadelphia Northwest people don't realize, that it's going to be Northwest against the rest of Philadelphia when it comes election time, and that's not going to be a good thing because you can't bring Kamala Harris to one area, one spot, and not Southwest and not West Philly and not those other areas. And these folks who think that they're prima donnas in this political game is going to be in for a rude awakening. And so I'm just real disturbed that she didn't visit the city, or you didn't have the city come up there. Only a few selected people. And they ain't even the millionaires. They're the ones controlled by millionaires. Going to bring her up to a location where she's segregated at that location. That was disturbing at best. You know what I mean? If she's for all of the people and she has the best interest of people who look like her, then she should be welcome. You know how many people came when Obama walked the land here?
Yeah.
So I just feel disturbed about that. And that keeps disturbing my spirit because these paid politicians keep acting like they got it on lock. They in back rooms making deals about the masses, and they are so disconnected with the masses. It's ridiculous. And y'all keep, not y'all, but they keep saying, well, if you disgruntled, show it at the voting booth. Well, be careful what you ask for. Yeah. Because if they start doing that, you will not get in based on 2,000 people voting out of 1.4 million people.
Right, and that's it. They said that Hillary Clinton lost the election in Pennsylvania because quite a few black people stayed home. And so this is the part that I'm trying to figure out, Prince. I don't know Philadelphia politics as well, and so I can't assume to know it. But from what I am seeing and hearing from what's going on around me, there's this level of do as I say and do as I tell you, and then we'll work it out. We'll work out the rest. And so at some point we got to listen to the people, right? If we have these kinds of voices and we want to be able to get the people to come out to vote, do we not listen to the very people that we're trying to get to come out to vote?
And you make that point clear because we can't. They are no longer. Here's the issue: you work Kamala into an area where they just unloaded on 3 cops, just blatantly shot unarmed police folks. And so, did Kamala talk about that?
Right.
Does she go to Chicago and talk about the violence there?
Right.
And how do you bring the potential vice president here when you can't even clean up your space that you are already in? Your house is so bad, and people don't talk against them because they don't want the ramifications from a congressman or from a city council. They don't want to call them and knock his services because they feel offended, to your point, how do you get those people to vote? How do you get those people to come out for you? Because here's a severe problem. Whoever can galvanize those people, those
are the ones that. There you go. There you
never
go.
Get a seat back. None of y'all. You will because look, I've seen people from Northwest try to run for mayor, and they couldn't get the whole city.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And they keep switching in that small area. They keep switching the different people out, but they play politics to switch them in and out anyway.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, if you want to be all inclusive and you want to come to some people that can help you galvanize the rest of the people, then do that. Because once you wake up this sleeping elephant, or them people who ride them four-wheelers throughout the street, some clubs, some different clubs and entities, you will never get a shot at get a bite at the apple again. And I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Thank you, Prince. Have a good one. Yeah. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
What's up, everyone? I know you know the word, no, not the station, but this word, J-O-B, that is, and our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details. Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM, WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. Linda from South Philly, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you, lady?
I'm doing fine. I just heard the previous caller.
Mm-hmm.
I am disturbed by the caller saying Northwest Philadelphia versus the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, the enemy is Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
We must get out and vote. It saddens me when I hear this division.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of Philadelphia saying that they're against Northwest.
Well, one person said it now.
I just heard him.
Yeah, but that was one person. That wasn't all of everybody saying it. That was his opinion.
No, I know that. That's why I said, no, everybody didn't say it. It was just the previous caller.
Right.
So I wanted to just give my thoughts on it.
Okay.
And just remind that caller and anyone else, the enemy is Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy is not different parts of Philadelphia. We, as Philadelphians, we must all come together and come out and vote in large numbers.
Okay.
So it saddened me when the previous caller discussion was about Northwest Philadelphia versus the other neighborhoods in Philadelphia. No, I don't care what neighborhood you're from. We are one group wanting to turn out the vote in the large numbers so we can get people in to help represent our interests. And so it disturbs me when I hear this kind of conversation. And then here's my other point. Then, I'll get off the phone. There is a pandemic here.
Yes.
So when the person was talking about how come Senator Harris did not get to other parts of the city, and this morning on Solomon Jones' show, and she was reminding people of that. We still have a pandemic, which is why it was not broadcast all over the city that Senator Harris was going to be in town, because they would have expected a large turnout, okay? So, again, keep in mind, they are campaigning, and guess what? We still got a pandemic underway, and you just talked about we are approaching 200,000 loss of lives.
So, Miss Linda, let me ask you this question. Because if you were listening to my show from the time I started, what I said was this. I wasn't asking them to make it a big announcement so that everybody could come out, because we are aware of COVID-19 and that we want people to be safe. What I said was media, that the local media did not know, so that we could inform the people, so that when I say inform, I mean go to the whatever it is that was, and then push out to the folks what we heard and what we learned, so that people can continue to make an informed choice. What we're asking, what we're doing, what we want to do is not ask people to just show up and vote because we want, anything is better than who was in office, because we saw how that did not work. We really want to be able to reach people where they are and not dismiss them out of turn. That is where I am with all of this. And on this radio station, God bless Solomon Jones. I love that he was able to be there. I love that somehow he got an invitation. But Solomon Jones is one local media person. I talked to just about every other local media person in the city who said the same thing. They had no idea. They didn't know what was going on. And when we are getting information from Donald Trump's camp that tells us every time he busts a move in Pennsylvania or in the city, then the local media here needs to hear that too from the Democratic end. Is that too much to ask? With an election 40-something days away, ma'am?
No, you know what? I agree. And that responsibility then goes with the Biden-Harris campaign.
Thank you.
No, well, all I'm saying, keep it there. Do not set up the fact that it's Northwest against the rest of the state.
But again, that was one caller's opinion, and so I don't want to stay stuck on one person's opinion, ma'am, because he was the only person that called in and said it. So I don't want to stay stuck on his one person opinion. I really want us to stay focused on how we can manage this and not have that kind of misstep again moving forward. If we want more people to vote, we need Philadelphia to win Pennsylvania. We need 400 and something. I'm talking about numbers now. I'm not talking about emotions. I am talking about how are we going to get the kind of numbers that we need to have to get folks out to vote so that we don't lose another election. We can't.
I agree with you, and so therefore, Biden-Harris campaign, the responsibility falls with them.
Okay.
I agree with you're right. They should have done a better job, and so that's where we'll go from here.
All right.
And so I'll. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for calling in and giving us your opinion, and I appreciate your calling in, okay?
Thank you.
All right, madam. Bye-bye. Do I have another caller? No. Okay. So, clearly this is a hot topic. Well, there you go. We talked too soon. We talked too soon. Clearly this is a hot button issue. And where I want us to go from here is for us to not get so sensitive about who did. I want us to look at this across the board and say, how can we do this differently the next time? Seriously, right? Everybody's aware there's a pandemic. All of us are aware of what's going on. We're just saying that local media should have been made aware. And I don't know where the blame drops. I'm not even trying to draw the blame. I am saying it was an incredibly lost opportunity for the local media to be able to push this out in a larger way. So for the people who are stuck in the pandemic and everybody's trying to scramble to figure out what was going on, that this could have been handled differently. That's all I'm saying. And if we can move forward and do that differently, because if I get another email from Trump's campaign as a media person, as a media alert, and I can't get one media alert about what's going on, we pick and choose who we give the media alerts to, we've got to do better in this city. We have to. That's all I'm saying, right? Give us the opportunity to inform the people so that we're not chasing up and down all over the place trying to make sure, and then you're telling us that we are going to be responsible for letting you know what happens, but you don't give us the information. That's not cool, man. It's not cool at all. Okay, moving right along. Lots going on. Speaking of coronavirus, and I love how we throw out coronavirus to talk about all of this. We can have a coronavirus and still move away and do what we need to do effectively so that we can get people out to vote. And just telling people that they need to show up is not enough. I am talking to way too many people, young, middle-aged, and older folks who are saying that they are not voting, right? And so even despite all the things that are going on, we want to make sure that we give the people the information. And when we tell people, I said this in 2016, when people were saying the same thing in 2016, we called them stupid. Stop calling people stupid. Stop telling them how they should think and feel, right? It is incumbent upon us as media to be able to give them the kinds of information so that they can make the information the choice. The choice is not, don't vote for that other person, vote over here. We want to sit down with people and give them what these folks are running on, what does that look like, and where are we moving from here. No more can we sit and tell people just go ahead and vote because you're voting for the wrong thing. Enough already. Enough, right? I just cannot. It's too much. And so if we want to move forward and we want to do this well and we want to get those 100 and something thousand people who did not come out to vote the last election to vote for this election, then we're going to have to handle things much differently than we've been handling them. That's all I'm going to say. And it is not enough for you all to cherry pick and choose who you want from media to be a part of this. All of media should be there locally. If you're bringing someone locally, the national media is good, but local media should be a part of that too. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm done. I'm done beating it to death. As people in Oregon try to avoid wildfires, coronavirus cases spike, officials say. This is from the Washington Post. The Washington Post and the New York Times are two credible sources that I cite every time I am on the show because I don't have time to go back and forth and look to see what's right and what's not right. Do I have another caller? Praise be Black Jesus. Rosalind, Kensington. Rosalind, are you there, darling?
Praise the Lord, my mother.
How are you, darling?
My heart is racing. I love my black people, but look, this is a black radio station. What are we going to do about the people that can't get out and can't get there? We're blessed.
Yes.
Whatever it takes. I just got 12 square feet something. My son just got a building. We have to come together. Back in the day, you had the people come out to the churches or pass out the flyers. Yes, she might have had to went to other communities or the media supposed to get in touch with you, but nix them. We got to get in touch with each other. Whatever it takes, you got to sell socks, bread, dough. Give it to them. Just bring them out. I don't care how and stop talking right. Stop talking about the young folks. They are our future.
Yep.
If we can't get it right on WURD, the only black station, how we going to get it? These the ones that's stirring the pot.
Yep.
Keep that mess out the pot.
Yeah.
We got to survive this. We got to do this.
Yep.
I'm a warrior by myself. Do you know what that feel like?
Yeah.
Bad enough Pastor Wilder, bad enough WURD and the law passing, and people calling on you with this negative stuff. Pull the people out. I'll give you some barbecue. I'll give you some fried chicken, herb food, whatever you want. Whatever it takes, we got to do it. Stop the mess.
Yeah.
I love y'all.
Love you too. Love you too, my sister. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The Word Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. You send me out the work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio,
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. While I wait for our 2 p.m. guest to call in, and it's going to be a riveting conversation because you already know Mobile. Yeah. The Washington Post wrote an article by Cleve R. Woodson Jr. and Corinne Bulliard on September 19th, 2020. The weeks Oregonians spent avoiding the outdoors because of wildfires and smoke gave America some insight into what cooler days may bring to a pandemic-ravaged nation as fall arrives this week. A report from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA, good afternoon, Raphael, that the wildfires that have been raging in California, Oregon, and Washington have been complicating the response to COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus. Evacuations and government recommendations to stay indoors have slowed testing into many communities. People encouraged to stay indoors to avoid caustic air have faced another danger, interacting with other people, providing more avenues for the virus to spread. As a result, the agency said, the rate of positive coronavirus tests in Oregon rose sharply to 5.6% last week, the highest since July, and the first upward movement after 6 weeks of declines. More than 30,000 people in Oregon have tested positive for the virus, and 525 have died. In Washington state, where the nation's first coronavirus case was discovered, nearly 82,000 people have contracted the virus, and 2,037 have died. California has the country's largest number of coronavirus cases with 744,135 and the third highest number of deaths at 14,912. It is just one of the negative effects of fires that have burned more than 5 million acres and killed 33 people. Sun-blocking plumes of smoke and occasionally the fires themselves have converged. The smoke has blown into Arizona and Nevada and, powered by the jet stream, has made its way to the East Coast and across the Atlantic. A lot going on out here. Lord have mercy. It's just too much. I'm going to get to my next guest as soon as I'm finished reading this article because I can't wait to have this conversation, and we will not be interrupted, honey. Other factors may have contributed to the spike in positive coronavirus cases. Public health experts were expecting an increase after the Labor Day holiday brought people together. Health officials saw similar spikes after Memorial Day and Independence Day. Still, a dozen days avoiding atmospheric contaminants may provide a prelude for a nation still unclear about what will happen when winter forces most people inside, further complicating things. The start of the flu season. Lord, it's a lot. It's just a lot. I just want you all to pay attention to what's going on out here. There's a lot that we don't know, but what we do know is that if we're able to keep ourselves safe, then that's what we should do. I am going to pivot because this person is someone that I've wanted to talk to. Thanks to Josh Duncan, who sent him our way. And so we're going to have a really good conversation about Breonna Taylor and what's happening there, right? So Let me do this. Dwayne Bryant is an internationally renowned author, transformational speaker, and TV personality known for his high energy, unique ability to connect to an audience, keen intellect, and wit. Dwayne has been a 3-time guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show, correspondent for Next TV, hosted the Unity Breakfast for the Obama Presidential Library, and has been featured on ABC, CBS, Fox, WYCC, WTTW, NBC, and PBS networks for his impactful work throughout various communities. Dwayne has also received a proclamation from the Pennsylvania State Legislature for his book, Stop! Improving Police and Community Relations. Recognizing his work for creating solutions to improve police and community relations, Dwayne received Ebony Magazine's Ebony Powers 100 Community Crusaders Award. In the wake of the public outcry against police brutality, Dwayne powers audiences with the Stop Improving Police and Community Relations workbook, driver's educational manual, and the Stop Challenge poster, and his online 17-part series entitled The Conversation, Improving Police and Community Relations, which explains the tension between the police and the Black community. In this compelling series, every aspect of police-Black community relations is explored, including the harmful impact of police brutality. Dwayne shares several solutions the community can immediately implement using proactive techniques, data, real-life case studies, and proven strategies to ensure a new level of police and community cooperation. I cannot wait for this conversation. Dwayne graduated with dual degrees in business finance and international business from Florida International University. He's sought after by corporations, nonprofits, and academic institutions for his proven ability to offer step-by-step strategies to audiences on how to unlock their unlimited power. Dwayne Bryant, hello.
Andrea Lawford Sanders.
How are you?
Hey, I am so excited to be talking to you, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you're the first Black woman that I've spoken to. Everyone, meaning on radio. I've done television.
Wow.
Radio's mostly been other folk, and I'm like, man, where are the
Black people? We're here. You got a Black sister, honey. I'm blackity black.
You must have saw my Black Power series. My Black Panther series. Somebody been on my YouTube.
How are you?
Hey, I am doing so wonderfully well. God has been amazing, even in the midst of a pandemic and pestilence. And he is still on the throne, still God. We still have to remember that.
Yes.
And so all is well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good. So listen, man, when Josh reached out to me and said, you know, you want to talk about Breonna Taylor, the police brutality, I gave you 2 whole segments. We're going to talk today. Is that all right?
What?
Yes. What? You got lucky today. And I don't usually give people 2 segments, but we have a lot to talk about. And I want us to have real in-depth, honest conversations. Let me say this to you. Let me start our conversation this way. Because of what's been going on around the country, and because, you know, people have been talking about what's happening in police stations, what's happening in our communities, and as a direct result, what's happening in schools, school districts are hiring what we call diversity and equity officers, right?
Yeah.
If I told you that a particular school district, and of course I have to remain confidential with some of this stuff, hired a Black man to be their diversity and equity officer, and that Black man sat in a meeting and said, we don't need to have extra Black teachers. Police brutality is a one-off thing, that the way some students feel is just what they feel, and that we just need to figure out other ways, that we don't need to switch and change things around. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, Dwayne. Of course, there was some push.
What's your question?
My question is
spirit on it, but what's your question?
Yeah, my question is, how in God's name, in America, in these times, can we have a Black person, a Black man, knowing all the things that are going on, and that Black men are endangered species in this country, that they would sit in a room and make that kind of statement and in a room full of people? How is that possible, Dwayne?
Well, I'm going to tell you how it's possible. It's very possible. Because every brother ain't a brother because of color. And so we have to understand that. We have to understand that, you know, some people will do whatever it takes to be under the master, and even if it means selling out a whole race of people so that they can get favor. And I'm not saying this brother is doing that because I don't know him personally, but I'm speaking to the characteristics.
Yes.
You know, we assume just because a black person comes and stand before us that, one, they're qualified, and two, that they have the integrity to uphold the ability and the capability and the trust that we give them.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily true. And that's why I don't look at color too much anymore.
Yes,
because
my brother.
I've seen white folk defend us, and I've seen black folk coon us. So, you know,
give me the pen. Give me a pen. I need to write that. White folks defend us and black folks coon us. I'm going to give you credit for that, though, Dwayne.
Hey, you'll probably give me credit 1 or 2 times, then you're going to take it. It's okay.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not going to be upset. So I would have to see, in instances like that, I always see a redeeming quality in those people, because what they're really trying to do is get favor with the quote-unquote power structure.
Yes.
But what the black community has to do is not attack them, not, call them out of their name, because then they get hardened in their position.
Yes,
so we have to challenge them intelligently, and we have to challenge them with love, because core, he's still a brother somewhere in there. But he has probably been navigating his whole life trying to assimilate and to fit in, and that's probably natural. That's probably why he got the position.
Yep.
To start
come on. Dwayne.
So,
Dwayne.
Now you said you want to be honest. I'm going to
Dwayne.
get kicked out of places because I'm too honest.
Because that was the text message that I sent. I said, this is an assimilation happening here. Try not to rock the boat, and let's figure out ways intelligently to make sure that this brother moves along nicely, right, and gets into the boat where we can get some work done versus just trying to fit in with the power structure. You must have been on my text message.
Well, here's the deal. So we're talking about the power structure. I want to share some stats with you. There was a poll by Statista, and it says Americans recognize systemic policing issues. U.S. adults who says George Floyd killing is a part of a broader problem in the treatment of African Americans by police. Listen to these numbers. 94% of blacks say there's a systemic problem with policing in America. 75% of Hispanics, 70% of whites, 92% of Democrats, and 55% of Republicans.
Wow.
Literally, this is the first time in the history of the planet Earth that so many whites, particularly Republicans, agree that there is a systemic problem. So anyone running on the notion that it's fine the way it is and we don't need to do anything, they are behind the time, they're antiquated, and history is going to show that they're definitely on the wrong side of history. So when we have 55% of Republicans saying so, 92% of Democrats, 7% of whites, that's a huge shift, because 5 years ago it was only 35% of white folks thought that there's a systemic problem within policing. So if a black person coming along and saying they don't see it, they either need to seriously open their eyes, or they are literally hired to be someone to sabotage movement.
Yes. So to what do you attribute the shift? I firmly believe, so let me just, in the interest of full disclosure, I have been an anti-racist trainer for over 20 years. This thing here that I'm doing on the radio is just, it's part of the thing, because I have a degree in communications, and I've always wanted to do this piece of it too. But so you and I are going to have this is why I'm so interested in talking to you, because I understand that you understand that we understand what's going on. To what do you attribute the shift now from 35% to all these numbers? And I believe it's our young people, right? But to what do you attribute the shift to people now believing that this is a problem?
Well, this is honestly what I think it is. And so what I like to do, is it Andrea or Andrea?
Andrea. Thank you for asking.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome, because I know different people. Hey, where's your accent from?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Yes,
hey, we're going to have a good time today.
Yes, we are.
So, Andrea, I think it's a few things, right? So let's look conceptually at this whole thing. One, the nation is under a pandemic, which means people are forced to be at home. People are forced to not be as busy as they used to be, so they're more in tune to what's going on. So that's the first thing. People were home. You didn't have access to sports and all the other entertainment that we have, even though you could at your house, but that's where this news feed was coming also at the house. The second thing is George Floyd was killed and 8 minutes and 46 seconds by a white boy who didn't give a fried chicken about killing him publicly in front of people watching with his hand in his pocket as he chewed gum, and everyone can see his whole attitude is, I'm a white cop. What's going to happen to me? I'm only killing on this ground, so who cares? So on my Facebook, I interact with a lot of white folk, black folk, and it was so interesting. I heard white people, even people who I've disagreed with over the years, Republicans, say, when this man called his mother, I no longer saw him as a black man on the ground. I no longer asked, what did he do? Why didn't he comply? Because clearly they had an opportunity to see. He didn't even curse them out. He didn't even say, what the F are you doing? It was always yes sir, no sir. So it literally took most of the good old white folk argument that all the Negroes got to do is comply, and the police will do whatever they need to do and treat them fairly. So white folk, this was Selma, Alabama, with the Pettus Bridge. So white folk had an opportunity to see what black folk knew for centuries. And this time they said, okay, guys, I cannot sit back and watch this and pretend. Then you had Ahmaud Arbery not too long before that. Then you had Botham Jean in his own home getting shot up. Then you had Breonna Taylor. Then you had the brother in Minneapolis. Then you had Elijah McClain. So everybody like, what the what? This has all happened within literally a 30-day period of time. And then on March 25th, the same day Floyd got killed that afternoon, you had white Amber Geiger in New York lying, trying to weaponize and get Christian Cooper killed. So now white folks finally said, you know what? Okay, enough is enough. We at least need fair treatment. So white folk began to wake up and see what black folk knew all along. And then what's interesting on the other side of that is their children now are pissed off because they see the hypocrisy in their own household, with their parents pretending to be liberal, but they hear the conversation that they have, but they go to school with black boys and black girls, and some of these black people are smarter than they are, but they have half the access to resources. So the white folk are just saying, yo, this is not right. This is not fair. I will put my life on the line for my black friends. So it's literally like you have the perfect storm now. And this is the time to move the needle forward.
Oh, okay.
Now, I didn't take any anti-racism training, so that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Hey, let me tell you something. You hit the nail on that. Your lived experiences are all that and a bag of Doritos. I'm just letting you know, because you hit every nail. You nailed the whole coffin, sir. You just did. When we work with the young people, they kept saying, look, we keep talking to our parents keep saying they had to have done something wrong. We keep telling our parents that when they come to school, we're in classes we don't even belong in simply because we're white. Right? We're in classes where we got E's and D's and E's, but teachers said we could do it, and our black counterparts who we looked to help us with our homework, they got all A's and B's, were summarily dismissed. And for years, people kept saying this was not true, it did not happen. And the white children decided to start going out and protest with their black friends. And what I noticed in the news was that the white children were not being shown on the news protesting. They would pan the camera, and it would just look like there were nothing but black people out there. And so the white children became more vociferous. Now, you're absolutely right again. When their parents started to see all the killings on television and what was going on, that coupled with listening to their children, because I have to tell you, I've spoken to many young white people in high school and college who said they've literally been put out of their homes because they stood up for black people. Or they've literally walked away from their homes and their families because they stood up for black people. Right? It's just that deeply ingrained in this country. I got to tell you this, though. Let me say this, one more thing. As much as they believe, this large percentage of people believe there is a problem, within that large percentage that believes there is a problem, is still a group that says, yeah, but if we give them the same rights that we have, that's going to take away some of the rights. We're losing our rights, which is why we decided we wanted this president that we currently have, because we believe, as dangerous as we thought he was, that he would start to give us back our middle America. You understand what I'm saying? There's a larger conversation at play here that I think we're not listening to one another. We keep talking around one another, through each other, through over the circles. And when we kept saying that those people were stupid and called them deplorables, they said they sat in their living rooms and said, okay, we'll agree with you all, but we were going into the voting booths to vote where we want. We need to come to the table now with those white people, right, who believe that police brutality is an issue, but also believe that they're losing their country because black people have made gains over the years, right? I don't know if you were aware that the police officer that killed George Floyd was working with him too as a security guard for another company, and George Floyd was very popular. He didn't like him, you know, so he was going to teach this brother a lesson because he wore a real police uniform when he had a chance to catch up with him. See what I'm saying? And those are those backstories that nobody talks about at all.
Right. Well, you said something that's interesting because he absolutely knew him.
Yes, he did.
Absolutely worked the same shift, and he was probably upset that he had a white woman, and all of the above that many white men get upset with black men about. And so it was murder. It was probably first-degree murder. In reality, because he had decided before that day to kill him.
Exactly.
Or he was tired of his existence. Which is probably why he was arrested, because all of those factors add up that this murder is not just
a coinkydinky.
Exactly. But let's look at the history. See, this is what white people have to wake up to. White people want to, and when I say white people, I hate to generalize, but generally speaking, white people want to pretend that their history has been very kind and fair, and that if black people just pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, then and stop begging and stop killing each other. But what they never seem to do is to look at what 250 years of slavery, plus another 100 years of black codes, plus another 60, 70 years of Jim Crow, how their history have 100% impacted and determined the level of black progression. Even after slavery, black people were doing better after slavery.
Yes, they were, and they burned them to the ground.
Reconstruction, absolutely. They burned it to the ground. So you can't keep saying pull yourself up when every time I do, you burn it down, you destroy our leaders. And it's not individual one or two white folks. We're talking about a whole system. The United States government, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the housing system, the education system, the healthcare system, the doggone religious system. Everything has been anti-black. And unless white America come to grips, and I believe they're starting to do that really, because it's just like, listen, either we're going to rise as a nation or we're going to fall. And right now, America's divided, and the divided house will fall. That's biblical. So, you know, I do believe there's some white people who don't care. They would rather see America fall than see equality. But I think the majority of white people are willing to save America, even if it means compromising what they instinctively been taught and believe in.
Oh, this conversation, though. Oh, Dwayne.
I ain't playing with you up in Philadelphia. I ain't scared of none of y'all over there in Philadelphia.
This is good. I love these kinds of intellectual conversations. I really do. I'm going to take a quick station break, and then when we come back, you're going to talk to us about how you've used your tools and your book to get people where they need to be now, right?
Absolutely.
All right, hold on one second. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The Murray Report, bringing you the latest in sports news and opinions. Hosted by Chris Murray. Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
First started in 2011, Philly Tech Week is an annual week-long celebration of technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation in the Philadelphia region. This year is the 10th annual Philly Tech Week presented by Comcast, now fully reimagined as a week of virtual events, from professional development seminars to highly engaging interactive virtual parties. You'll get connected with the ideas, tools, people, and processes that are building a better future for all communities. Virtual events run from September 21st to the 25th. Learn more and build your calendar at phillytechweek.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have on here with me Dwayne Bryant, who I absolutely never met Dwayne a day before in my life. This is the first time we're speaking, but I so connected with his soul. I can tell he's a great motivational speaker. He's a renowned author, transformational speaker, and TV personality known for his high energy and unique ability to connect to an audience, keen intellect, and wit. Child, all of that is true. Whoever wrote that, beautiful. They did a good job, Dwayne.
Thank you.
So listen, what made you create the series of tools that you have and this book? How was that born?
Sure. I'm going to let you know my love for my students, my love for my youth, and my love for my people allowed me to create the stop. But this is what happened. I was on the south side of Chicago at Drake Elementary School. And I was actually doing a workshop in bullying. And I was talking about bullying, but for some reason, I don't even know why, but the Holy Spirit had me to change the conversation. And I asked 4th, 5th, and 6th graders a basic question. I said, let me ask you this. If you're on the playground playing, minding your own business and doing nothing wrong, if a police car drove over, what would you do? What do you think they said they do, Andrea?
Run.
Run. They said, run. I said, wait. You didn't hear me. You're doing nothing wrong. You're minding your own business. Why would you run? They said, I'm going to run because I don't want to get shot. I don't want to be harassed, and I don't want the police to stop me from going home. 2 of the bigger boys said, well, I wouldn't run, but if they disrespect me, I'm going to disrespect them. And I'm literally sitting there blinking like a grown man trying not to cry and trying not to weep in front of these babies because I'm like, their first response is going to get them hurt. It may get them killed. It may create doubt. It may get everything they said is going to happen to them. It may happen to them. And I realize some of it is what they're seeing on television. Some of it is what they're hearing in their home. Some of it is what they're experiencing themselves, and some of it is actually what they see from law enforcement. So I'm like, if I'm 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, when I become 11 and 12th graders, when I become 23, 24, 25, it goes from what they're saying to F the police. And so I just believe that it should not be that way. 2 months later, I had a police encounter that literally went viral, and it was with a white police officer. It could have been bad, but it turned out to be amazing. And so what I did is I posted the event, and the event went viral. It was like 1 million shares viewed, police departments. We actually had the police department, Indiana State Police, which is the home of the Ku Klux Klan, as a result of that encounter, came to my home. We had a 4-hour conversation. We did a reenactment of the stop, which they included in their training for their state troopers. And I did ride-alongs with them. I was able to see from an officer standpoint because, you know, I'm a black man, so I only see it as a black man. But then once I began to engage with law enforcement, I was like, whoa, there are 2 sides to the story.
Yes, they are.
And not only... Yeah, and I also recently, last year, graduated from the FBI Citizens Academy. So I just said I want to learn as much as I can about all of this so that I can be an asset. So when I wrote the book, I wrote the STOP, Improving Police and Community Relations. So STOP is really an acronym. It stands for Support the Teaching of Principles. STOP, everyone thinks it's just about a police stop, but it's way more than just that. Because if we get back to principles, we can eliminate all of this drama, all of this confusion that's going on between police and community. So it's about 7 encounters I've had since elementary school. My first encounter in elementary school, middle school, high school, college. And I talk about what happened, what would have happened if. I give different scenarios, and I'm showing everyone that everyone at the police encounter is responsible for the outcome, not just the police, but they have more responsibility because they're trained, they have a badge, they have the right to take my life from my liberty, so therefore they have more responsibility. But it does not neglect my responsibility as well that I have with an encounter.
Mm-hmm. So say more about that. I know exactly where you're going with this, by the way. But
Okay.
say more about that. I'm glad to hear that you had gone along with the drive-alongs, because I've done it with my work over the years, and that's how I was able to understand what they see from their lens and why they believe the things that they believe, right? One of the other things that they talked to me about, and my partner, that when we do this work, was that, listen, if we had more conversations like this with you guys, if you could show us another side, because when we get calls, it's not about the best things that are going on in the communities, right? So we don't see the other side of life the way you see it. And when we get a call, we are literally, our adrenaline is rushing. We are like, all right, we got to protect ourselves at all costs. We got to make sure we get back home safely to our people. And while we want to be, people expect us to be nice and kind, this is not, we have to be always on guard. So for instance, Dwayne, I was in Virginia the other day with some friends and got stopped by a police officer who gave me a ticket for going 1 mile over the speed limit. 1 mile.
Wow.
And when he got up to my car, he was gruff. License and registration, please. All bravado, looking in the car. I had in the back seat of my truck at that point the current chief defender of Philadelphia, Keir Bradford Gray, and sitting beside me in my truck was another person, a woman, and we all three of us looked at him, and something in my head said, "Remain pleasant." Ivor was so pleasant, Dwayne. He would have gotten a toothache, and Keir sitting in the back seat going, "Oh." And I said to myself, the thing is, I am responsible for my reaction, right? I asked him, I said, why did you give me the ticket? He said, well, I don't have the discretion to give you, and he was much nicer at the end because he realized I was not falling prey to what he expected of me, right? Right. I challenged that ticket. I'm going to court. I'm driving back to Virginia to challenge that $36 ticket, right? Right?
Good.
Right.
Good.
But when as it was going on, I had to carry myself, my comportment had to be a certain way. So there was no shifting of my eyes. There was no tapping of I didn't do any of those things. I was steady and calm the entire time. But I believe that was my training. And part of that is that we have to train people, how to do that, to stay alive, so that, because there's some police officers that just don't care and will do and say anything to make sure that you get riled up enough so that they have justification to take you out, right? At the same time, Dwayne, there are plenty of police officers that say, we know who the rogue ones are among us, right? And so when we go to those stops and we're out there with them, we try to give the people the eye, like, just don't stay alive, right? Because they also have to protect themselves, the other police officers, because when they challenge the rogue ones, that becomes a problem for them. It's a lot. It's not, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is it's not cut and dry. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying completely, but let me compound that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the FBI Citizens Academy, we learned that the FBI has warned nearly 15 years ago that white supremacists and neo-Nazis have infiltrated law enforcement.
Yes.
And this was over 16 years ago. So let's just look at this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a client in a uniform, and I'm stopping you in your Mercedes, your BMW, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to aggravate you because, unfortunately, my people, we're so freaking emotional.
Yeah.
We allow our egos to override our goddamn common sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that if the police officer say, boy, where you think you're going? Who the F
you calling a boy?
I'm a grown man just like you.
Yep.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
How about I be a boy today?
Mm-hmm.
And how about I be a boy to you, but a man inside of myself, and handle this situation with great calm?
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you can't litigate that situation
if
out
you're
there on
dead.
the street. So this officer may have said, I'm going to kill a black person today.
Yeah.
And you have power in every encounter. Sometimes people say, when I tell the kids, I teach the community they have power, they say, why would you teach that? I said the opposite of having power is being powerless.
Yes.
I would never tell a black person that they're powerless because we still have the Spirit of God inside of us.
Right.
If I've navigated 20 police encounters, 20, some of them they've been cursing me out, telling me all kinds of stuff what they're going to do to me. I have zero criminal history.
Yep.
I've never been arrested. I haven't even had handcuffs put on me. I went to college on a full academic scholarship. So clearly it's something that I know that I can be able to help teach and help educate my people. And so some people say, but what about Philando Castile? I agree.
Yes.
There's some extreme situations, and that's why I'm saying when you understand It's a flip of the coin. This could be that racist coming to me. So what I need to do is navigate this encounter and not let 20 minutes derail 20 years of my life. That's crazy.
Yep.
And so when I wrote the book, it's several solutions in there. As a matter of fact, when I was in high school, chapter 3, I took a white officer to court in high school, just like you did. I was driving past a stop sign in a 4-cylinder Chevrolet Chevette. They gave me a speeding ticket because a buddy of mine jumped in the car. They wanted to know, are you part of a gang? Do you have thugs in the car? We're like, no. And I said in high school, I'm not taking this crap. I took the officer to court. When I got to court, they called my name. The person said, listen, why are you here? I said, because I want to contest this ticket. They said, well, listen, the police officer's here. The city attorney is here, the judge is here, and you're not going to win. And I'm looking like white cop, white attorney, white judge. The cop totally lied on the stand. And I didn't get upset. I didn't get angry. I had my suit. I had all of my data. I had my statistics. I went back to the scene, took pictures, and the judge said, officer, why are you wasting our time? This guy clearly is an intelligent student. And that moment right there probably was the beginning of the book Stop. And I didn't have a clue that God was setting that up.
Yes, something similar happened to my oldest son. We took him to court and won too. And that cop lied, and that's why I kept saying to my children, don't get bitter, get better. Empower yourselves to stay alive long enough so that we can then fight the system the proper way to make sure we get the results that you need. That same thing happened, Dwayne, and that police station is still trying to figure out how we took on an entire station and won. Right? Because we stayed. Because
you had justice and you had righteousness on your side and truth. And that's what we have to come back to as a people. We've forgotten. We get so emotional. We allow people to throw us off. I'm talking about so easily. So easily we get thrown off. And we have to come back to who we are because that level of unintelligent thinking and action is what's getting us hurt.
Boy. Well, let me tell you, boy, oh boy, oh boy. My husband just texted and said a 4-cylinder Chevette couldn't go that fast. So what were they stopping you for?
Oh, right. So they literally were stopping me because my friend, black guy, had saw me at the stop sign and said, yo, D, where you headed? I said, I'm going home. So he jumps in the car, and as soon as he jumps in the car,
they turned on the lights and pulled you over.
Yep,
So,
driving while black.
Yep. And continues to happen. So let me ask you this. What have you seen as a direct result of writing this book?
Well, one thing I've seen is I've worked with students in Chicago, south suburb of Chicago, west suburb of Chicago, Palm Beach County, Broward County. And the school district have ordered the book. We have a workbook as well where the teachers can work with the students, the parents can work with their children. And so what we do is we educate. So what I have seen directly and doing reenactment is, for instance, here we go. Legally speaking, a police officer can pat you down if they suspect you have a weapon. So I would have 4 or 5 guys, the bigger guys, say, okay, guys, you guys are leaving school. I'm Officer Bryant. You're just going to have to be coming by me and just do whatever you think you'd normally do. So they're walking by, and I say, hey, excuse me, guys, my name is Officer Bryant, and I pat one down, and the first thing he does is slap my hand. They're like, what you touching me for? I'm like, wait a minute, boy, who are you talking to like that? And they're like, what? Who you calling boy? So it escalates like quickly. And then so I asked the other students that's watching, I said, okay, time out, free. For you that's in the audience, did I have a right to pat him down? They're like, no, you don't have a right to touch him. Why are you touching him? I said, see, this is why you mess up, because one, you're all ignorant. You have no clue as what the law is, and you're ignorant as to the rights that a police officer has, because a police officer does have the right to pat you down if they have reasonable suspicion that you may be carrying a weapon or there's this bone and they don't know what it is. And so when you slap my hand, you just assaulted a police officer. So now what I can do is hit my radio, and I can escalate this and say quickly, I thought you had a weapon. I was afraid for my life.
There you go.
You gathered around me. I was afraid, and boom, there it goes. And they're like, what? And they're like, they can do that? Yes, they have the law, and they have the authority to do this. This is why you must know the law, you must know your amendments, and you must be speaking intelligently. And the reason why you don't know it, because your mamas don't know it, and your daddies don't know it, and your teachers don't know it. So therefore, you've never been taught. It's okay to be ignorant. It's dumb to be dumb. And so then we do the reenactment again. Same exact scenario. And then they say, hey, They put their hands up, officer, am I being arrested? Am I being detained? Why are you touching me? So now it's a whole different type of engagement. So one thing I have seen with students is that they understand that they have rights, but they also understand that the police officer have rights as well. So what I also see is that they have a greater respect for law enforcement. I also see they have a greater respect and knowledge for themselves and how to conduct themselves. Everything is not about ego. Everything is not about I'm being punked and I'm going to show you that I'm a man. No, that's crazy. Let's get home. Let's not just get home. Let's enjoy a quality life. Let's set goals. Let's determine what our purpose in life is so we can reach our destiny, not just say how to act with a police encounter, because that's not what I talk about.
Wow. This is such a good conversation. What do you say to the people? Because it's so interesting, right? We've been under so much stress, and I tell you, the same things that you're talking about are the same conversations that I'm having. And, you're telling our children to be punks. You're telling our children we're going through so many things. And I keep saying to them, but look, you can't fight something if you don't stay alive to fight it. And it's also disarms police officers. They'll tell you in a minute, when you walk up to them and they walk up to you and they're fussing and carrying on and expecting a reaction out of you, and you give them the exact opposite of that reaction, it disarms them, right? And then the conversation ends up being different. How do we, in your work, do you feel like you have made a difference, not just with the police, but with the young people that you're working with in getting them to that next level beyond the emotion that they may feel in that moment?
Sure. I would say with the students that I've worked with directly, absolutely. However, that's just a small drop in the bucket compared to the millions of students that are out here, which means that what I just did is I completed the new conversation, which is a 17-part online series, and that is honestly just as good, if not better, than the stop, because what it does is it talks about the true history of police and black community relations. It talks about the slave patrols. It talks about why black bodies were dehumanized and why they were beaten and treated the way they were. Then it moves from there into what are some of the solutions, what are some of the organizations that are doing different things. It talks about the medical impact of police brutality, particularly on our young adolescents, that black men who have been incarcerated, who are going to juvenile, they have a 39% less likely chance of graduating high school, which means they're not going to college, which means they may not be getting a job, which means they may not become productive citizens. So they are being targeted from elementary school. It also empowers parents to understand the importance of making sure that their children are prepared academically. It talks to teachers. It talks to our white allies. So that particular conversation is probably most comprehensive to get people thinking, to get people thinking about what is the solution. It even talks about the importance of voting, and as a community, as a people, we have to do better. But a lot of us, we get stuck in the emotion. What the new conversation does is it literally is a guide saying, okay, you're angry, this is why you're angry. Okay, you want to do something, this is what you can do. Okay, you want to know what's going on out here, this is what's going on. You want to know what the reforms are, here are the reforms. You want to know what you can do individually, because what I want to do is I want to empower leaders and inspire followers, because everyone has to have all hands on deck for dismantling police brutality, which is also dismantling white supremacy.
Oh, you're going to have to hold on one more again. Because I'm going to ask you how, people reach you, all of that stuff, but I've got to take another station break. You're now going into my third segment. Now, this is some good stuff. Hold on one second, okay?
All right.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
If you're eligible for Medicare in 2021, you could have a chance to win one of 4 great prizes, like dinner prepared by a local chef and home fitness equipment. When you enter to win, you'll also receive a free COVID-19 News You Need booklet. Visit www.ibxmedicare.com/healthy advice to enter. Independence Blue Cross offers products through its subsidiaries Independence Hospital Indemnity Plan, Keystone Health Plan East, and QCC Insurance Company, independent licensees of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Word Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Still concerned about COVID-19 and voting in person? Pennsylvania has you covered with mail-in ballots. Simply submit a completed ballot by mail. So long as you request that mail-in ballot between now and October 27th, go to votespa.com and apply for your mail-in ballot today. When your ballot arrives, read it carefully and follow the instructions to complete it and return it. You can also track and confirm that your County Board of Elections has received the mail-in ballot by going to votespa.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early. Word Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. Mike and I are in here talking about the fact that we want more people to stay away from the emotion, that it's difficult. Life has dealt us some challenges as black people, and when we get stopped by the police, even though we know intrinsically what is happening is wrong, we've got to take the emotion out of it and stay intelligent enough, and I call it emotional intelligence. Stay intelligent enough without the emotion so that you can get through the stop and then you can go ahead and challenge that, right? Because we see it happen time and again, and too many of our people are being killed. Dwayne, folks are now texting me, asking me what's the name of the book, how we can reach you. So this is a good conversation.
Good. First of all, I want to say thank you to your listeners that they're being engaged because, you know, this is a problem that we can fix. It's a human problem, therefore it's going to require a human solution. So the name of the book is called The Stop, Improving Police and Community Relations. There's a number of ways they can get it. They can go to Amazon. They have to put in the full title, The Stop, Improving Police and Community Relations. Or someone said they can put in The Stop, Dwayne Bryant, DWAYNEBRYANT as well. They can't read. I have done the audio book. They can get it off of Audible. They can also get it on their Kindle Reader. If they prefer not to order with Amazon and prefer to go with the black business, they can order it on my website, ADOUTTHESTOP.com.
Okay, wait a minute. You gotta slow down and do that again.
Yep, I'm going to do it. AboutTheStop.com. 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 That's my personal website. They'll see the different news articles, the different places I've been talking about the stop. There, if they order it, they'll get a color copy. I'll autograph it. I'll send them their book. They can either get the book or the workbook or the bundle pack, which is the book, workbook, and the Stop Challenge poster. I'll autograph it and mail it to them myself. The other thing, too, is if they go to my website, DwayneBryant.com, DwayneBryant.com. They'll see all of the work that I've been doing with young people. They'll see our e-learning with DB program that we have, teaching young people time management, goal setting, conflict resolution, bullying, education. But more importantly, the new conversation is on that website, DwayneBryant.com. They can also get the Stop on that website as well. So maybe the Stop is the best website for them. I'm sorry, maybe DwayneBryant.com.
So I'm putting that on the social media website now so that people can see it, right?
Okay,
www.DwayneBryant.com, right?
Yes, DWAYNEBRYANT,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, DWAYNEBRYANT.com. And they can get the stop there. They can get the new conversation. Now, here's the deal with the new conversation. It's a lot of information. I think it's about 4.5, maybe 5 hours total. However, it's broken up into 17 parts. That's about 13 to 15 minutes each per part.
Okay.
I want families to watch this with their children. Teachers can watch it with their students. Police department should be watching it with community. I priced it at a very low price of $149, less than a pair of Michael Jordan shoes.
Got that right. For 4 hours of conversation?
Huh?
You $149 for 4 hours of conversation?
It's $149. It's a little bit over 4 hours.
Wow.
But it's, in addition to conversation, it's also packed with solutions. It's packed with what's happening around the nation. Sabrina Fulton is on there with me as well, talking about solutions. Trayvon Martin's mom. So it's a really highly informative session. And what it broke down to is, I said I wanted to price it at $8.46 per segment, symbolizing the amount of time that it took George Floyd to be murdered. And so when you take the $8.46, which is absolutely peanuts, times 17, then it comes to like $144. I'm thinking that's an odd price, so let's just make it $149, and that way it'll be a nice, better, easier number. So yes, it is $149. I wanted it to be reasonable, but the content that's in there, every family will have solutions, because I keep hearing people say, I don't know how to talk to my kids about this. I don't know what to tell them. Great. I do know how to talk to them. I know what to tell them. I know how to inspire them. I've been doing it for 24 years. So get the new conversation, get the membership, and it will give them all of the information they need to be able to create solutions for themselves and their families.
Wow. Dwayne Bryant.
One more thing.
Sure. Go ahead.
YouTube. Yes.
YouTube. Okay.
If they go to my YouTube channel, Dwayne Bryant, DWAYNEBRYANT, I have a lot of free content. I have the Black Panther series that's breaking down what the real movie was about and why Black people loved it so much, because everything in that movie was true. I share pictures that when I was in Egypt, when I went into the pyramids, when I saw the Black people that the Egyptians painted, and why they were blue. I talk about all of that. I talk about the different tribes, the Himba, the Zulu, the Dogon, the heart-shaped herb, what it really is, and how it
What is it, Dwayne? What is the heart-shaped herb?
Well, the heart-shaped herb in the movie The Black Panther is what they gave the Black Panther to
for
drink.
His power, right.
For his power, exactly. But, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but
you got to tell me.
I think it's part 4 or 5. So in Africa, in a particular country in Africa, which is known as one of the most technologically advanced nations on earth to this day, that they still can't figure out the technology. That's what I'm telling you. Ryan Coogler and the Black Panther was so powerful that there's so much truth in there. Black people only got entertained. But what I'm doing in the Black Panther series is educating them so they can know exactly why they love the movie so much. We talk about true African kings like Mansa Musa. We talk about a matriarchal society where Black men respect Black women, and why that is the best type of society. We talk about colonization. We also have a series called The White Lie, which will, listen, if white folk got that, they will stop lying, because this thing is so powerful. And so there's a lot of free content.
All of that is on your YouTube channel?
Yes, all of that is on my YouTube channel, and a lot more.
Wow.
So when they go there, please have them to like, please have them to subscribe and share it. But it's wonderful, amazing content. And I also released 2 parts of the new conversation, part 1 and part 12, just so the viewers can get an understanding and an idea of the type of content it is before they make the investment for the $149.
I have one more question for you before you get off this air, because we've been talking now for an hour, believe it or not. Were you a teacher, an educator?
Here's what's interesting. When I was in high school, I used to develop programs for the Callahan Community Center, not knowing that God was going to set my destiny up for working with young people. When I went to college, I majored in finance and international business. 2 weeks after graduating college, I started my corporate career with Johnson & Johnson. Every city I lived in, Detroit, St. Louis, Chicago, Miami, I was a public school role model. I volunteered significant amounts of time with the young people.
Yeah.
In 97, I resigned to start my own business, and I incorporated Intervision International, developing programs, mentoring programs, curriculum, socio-emotional learning, evidence-based curriculum for the last 24 years. So, no, I've never been a school teacher, but I've been an educator for nearly 30 years with our young people.
Yes, you have. The name of his YouTube channel is Dwayne Bryant. All right.
Yes.
Dwayne DW. I put it on the page because people are asking. Bernita, I put it on the Facebook page so you can see it. We're running live.
Yeah,
on
and
Facebook.
I'm gonna tell you got some loyal people because somebody named Desmond Daniels has already subscribed.
See, shut up, because you know Mother got it over here.
So shout out to Desmond.
Yes, and listen, if you see John Sanders, because I bet you my husband's about to subscribe too, and I will subscribe because I want to see. I just believe, and let me tell you why. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. There's a doctor here in Philadelphia that is an eye doctor. Her name is Archima Major, and she literally have been saving people's lives by looking through their eyes and telling them, all this medication that you're taking, da-da-da-da-da. And so last night she and I were having a conversation because I had written a story about her and the work that she had been doing because she helped me to reverse diabetes completely. I went from full-blown diabetic to no diabetes in my system in under a year, and without medication. And it was the stuff, she's from Liberia, and she shared this story with me about her grandmother who was in kidney failure, and they reversed it with the food, the recipes. And I keep telling folks, food heals, food cures, and food can kill, depending on what you put into your system. So I absolutely believe, and because of my Jamaican roots and the way my father has told us, I stay away from the medication. Like, we don't have to take this stuff. There are things that we can eat and drink and put into our system that will help us to be okay versus the stuff that Big Pharma wants us to take that is not even helping to cure us. It's only masking the issues, and there's so many side effects that it's killing us anyway. Right?
Listen, I agree with you 1,000%, and congratulations for making that transition.
Yep. Thank you so much, my brother. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to look forward to
anytime.
Yes,
anytime.
Sir. And usually when people listen to this radio show, they go and they try to figure out what's going on and to learn. So I'm so excited for you. I hope you get many more new views and that people start to learn. We do a lot of talking. My husband just wrote, what a powerful segment. We do a lot of talking. We do a lot of emotional chit-chatter about what we think should happen. And quite frankly, the solutions are right there in front of us in our hands. Right?
Absolutely.
And so we do it by example. I say to folks, we can talk a lot, but what are we doing? Right? So Thank you so much, my brother. It's so good talking to you. All right.
Anytime.
All right. Catch up with you soon.
I will come back.
Listen, you better believe I'm going to call you, so hold on, okay?
Okay.
Talk to you soon, my brother. Take it easy.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Wow. That was such a good segment. I love those guys. Somebody on the line? Yes. Who was it? Who? Cynthia, let me take Cynthia before I quickly go to break. Cynthia, how are you?
Yes, hello, how are you?
I'm good, my sister. What's up?
I was just listening to your guest on your show, and I just tuned in at the last moment. But I think the problem is the cause. You can talk about everything and why this is happening, et cetera, but you have to get to the root of the cause. It's that, like my analogy, which is a simple analogy, like if you're a child and you keep falling, you scrape your knee, you put a Band-Aid on, they scrape their knee again, they put a Band-Aid on. But what's the cause? The cause is because the child keeps falling. So the same thing with the police department. They have to get rid. They have to be fired because a lot of these police officers are hired when they get out of the war, like they're in Afghanistan and whatever war there is, Iraqi war. They are used to killing, and then you got the racist ones,
Yeah, so he was always, he talks about all of that.
Get rid of them.
Yeah,
you have to get rid of them. They are the cause.
Yeah, so let me say this to you. He talked about all of that, and you're absolutely right. And in order for us to get rid of them, then policies and laws have to change in the system, right? Because I have worked with police chiefs who have fired police officers, and the union brought them back. So we have to change the laws and change the system to get things done the way we want them to, okay?
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon, my sister. Have a good one. All right,
okay,
bye-bye.
You too. All right,
bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real.
With
the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real. With the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
This is Word Radio. 96.1 FM. And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Just as I was ending this last segment with the author, Dwayne Bryant, we were talking about what happened in Wakanda, and that there's actually a country in Africa where they still can't figure out all the technological advancements that they have there today. This is not just a movie. And one of the things that I want you all to know is that as a people, we're absolutely brilliant. The systems were set up in place to make us feel like we weren't smart enough and that we couldn't do certain things. But if you use yourself as an example of all the things that we have overcome and the things that we have created over the years, then you know that there's so much that we can do. And so I was telling him about Dr. Archema Major, and literally wanted to share her with the WURD listening audience, and I called Kathy Hicks over at the Philadelphia Sunday Sun and said, we've got to write a story about her because she helped me to reverse diabetes. And so instead of going to her office and interviewing her, there were patients who were calling into her office and saying, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you what she's done to save my life. This woman is amazing. Let me take Jay, and then I'm going to read something that a Yelp review that a man sent in that said he saved her life. She saved his life. Jay, are you there?
Hi, Andrea. Could you give me that lady's number and name?
So her name is Dr. Archema Major.
Please.
ARCHIMA, last name Majors, MAJOR, and her business is called iSolutions, so LLC, I Innovations. I'm sorry, I Innovations LLC.
Innovation, okay.
All right, so you can find her that way. I'm going to read a Yelp review. Stay on the line, Jay. Let me see. Let me so you can hear this.
You got a phone number?
No, ma'am. You're just going to have to Google that and pull that up. Okay. If you just Google her name, you'll be able to find it. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you, darling. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye bye. On 4/15, 2013, and I know this for a fact because she did it with me. This man says, I went in for an eye appointment for some new contacts. I met with Dr. Major, and she had such a great demeanor, very funny, and made me very comfortable. All true. I have had some very bad habits with my contacts, and she did not talk down to me like other doctors have in the past. She talked to me in a very caring way to let me know I was hurting my eyes. During the exam, she told me that I was very low in iron, and I should call my doctor today and let him know what she said. The fact is, I have had a lot of health problems throughout my life, and no one has ever told me I was low in iron, so I did not think much over it. 2 days later, I wound up in the emergency room with many doctors and nurses around me trying to get me back into a normal state. They kept saying they do not know what's wrong and that the tests do not show much. I took off my mask and told them that my eye doctor told me 2 days ago that she thinks I was low in iron. The main doctor said, that's it. He needs iron. They went that route, and that worked and slowed down my heart. The next day, the doctor asked me, why did my doctor not prescribe me anything for the low iron? I said it was my eye doctor, and she told me to call my doctor right away that day, but I did not. He said to me, your eye doctor may have saved your life. The fact is that I am very grateful to her and all that she did for me. I will never go anywhere from my eye doctor than with Dr. Major. And I tell you these stories because I watch us. I'm looking at us. I'm going into the supermarkets. People think that only if you can afford certain things, that you can stay healthy. That is not true. That is so not true, right? Find ways to incorporate good, healthy habits into your diet. Celery, kale, those kinds of things. Leave the fast food alone. We can reverse diabetes and so much more from the kinds of foods that we eat, and we allow people to talk us into saying, well, I'll just take the medicine and keep eating what I eat. So the medicine is killing you and the food is killing you, right? And so that doesn't help us. And so if we're going to be, for me, I can't speak for any other radio show host, but you are watching through my example exactly what is possible. There are people in my family with diabetes. I was determined I was not going to be one of them. My A1C was 8.8 when I went in to see my regular doctor in August of last year. I was a full-blown diabetic. My A1C today is 5 point something, which is normal. Right? That's normal blood sugar levels. I did it with food and exercise. I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I haven't done myself. I am telling you that it is possible. And so for me, I talked to my mother, who said that the medicine that she was taking, the metformin, really damaged her kidneys. So I got off the metformin, right? So you have to pay attention. Look at the side effects of the things that they're asking you to take willy-nilly. Take 1,000 of this 2 times a day. Take 3,000 of this 2 times a day, right? And we're the ones, if you're calling in talking about conspiracy theories, black people are the ones that we're being prescribed all this stuff. But white folks do, because big pharma and doctors, and what's going on. But I'm telling you, our thought processes help us a lot. If you sit and think good thoughts, if you meditate just for 5 minutes a day, I'm not telling you anything that is woo-hoo. I am telling you stuff that absolutely positively works. Right? It helps our hearts, it helps our kidneys, it helps our liver, it helps us to be healthier, more functioning things. And the things that they're putting in the food, because we're so overpopulated in this world, they're making our foods faster and putting additives inside of them. Our chickens should never be the size of the chickens that we see in the supermarket. They just should never be. When you see a chicken in Jamaica running around on an island somewhere, on any farm here in America that is organic, it's a little drumstick and a little chest, little breast. These things that they're pumping up, I don't know what they're putting inside of them so that they can feed us. There are reports that are showing that they're trying to create meats in petri dishes because we're running out. Come on, people. Come on. Like, we have to stop and think about what we are doing, right? And so, grow your food. I have a little patch of garden, and I had all these beautiful flowers, and I grew corn this year. I grew cucumbers. I grew peppers. I grew kale. I grew collards on a little patch in a little container, right? So when people tell you that it can't be done, it can be done. And we have just to decide in our minds, are we going to go the route of, continuing to put the $5 hamburger in our mouth that is so full with citrates and nitrates that is actually creating our blood sugar levels to spike, or to put the kinds of breads and things in our mouths that are harming us, or for us to really find a different way. Go take a walk, y'all. You do not have to have a gym membership to take a walk. You don't. Pennsylvania has the second largest park system in the country. People are flying on planes to go doing all sorts of things in a park system that looks exactly like the one that we have here. Take a walk. Take a walk. If you don't want to go to the park, walk on your street, right? Think healthy thoughts. Have prayers of thanksgiving. I was going to the market this morning, and I kept saying, I'm grateful. I first kept trying to find the things that I was grateful for. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful, and not for grateful for a car or grateful for a house. I'm grateful that I can take deep cleansing breaths in my lungs. I am grateful that I can think clearly, every single day. I am grateful that I can manage my emotions. I am grateful that I love people. I am grateful, just finding gratitude. And the more gratitude that I found, the less angst that I felt, because the anxiety levels in this country is going up at an alarming rate. And we have to find ways to level it out and bring it down so that we can be okay as a people. I know it sounds crazy to those of you who don't believe, and I understand what it feels like, right? And then the other thing is this. When you pray and you find reasons to be grateful for the things that you're grateful for, and it doesn't have to be much, y'all. You can say, I'm grateful that I was able to pay my rent today, even though I have $5 left over. I am grateful that I was able to pay my rent and have those $5 left over. I am grateful that I was able to help Miss So-and-so down the street. I am grateful that I was able to bend over and pick up a piece of paper while other people are stuck with their backs knocked out, So like, all those things make all the difference in the world. I'd also tell you, find gratitude in not talking about other people. There's nothing enlightening about sitting around gossiping about people. When people call you to gossip, say, yeah, those kinds of things get sent to me all the time. And I'm like, nope, not feeding into this, not feeding into the gossip. When the facts come out, the facts come out. But I will not be someone who lights into other people because I don't have anything better to do. So we have to think and be differently. When I do a cooking class, you're too loud, Mike, so I can't hear you. When I do a cooking class every other Saturday, all that food that I cook, I give it away. My poor husband, he's like, well, dang. I start packaging up the food, and I make sure, all right, and people who would be unsuspecting, right, they would get the food. If someone's having a hard time, and I know they're having a hard time, they get the food. You understand? Think about being kind. Don't just think about what's in it for me. What am I doing for, I'm getting mine. I'm driving an extra kind of car. I'm a part of Jack and Jill. I'm a part of another. Those things mean absolutely nothing at the end of the day if you can't practice kindness and temperance and love to the people around you. I say it over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Right? And if you learn nothing else from sitting in this COVID environment that we're in, something as simple as washing our hands and being grateful makes all the difference in the world in the way we move and love and treat one another. If there's someone that you're walking around with unforgiveness, that you're holding a grudge, say, even if you don't call them to say you forgive them in your heart and move on. Cut it out, people. Those are the kinds of things that are killing you. When you're holding a grudge, it holds into toxins into your system, and it's harmful to you. So all those things I'm talking about, right? Y'all got Mike on the phone. I'm telling Mike he's too loud. We can't hear you into the microphone. And you're driving Mike over there. So, like all of this stuff, I'm trying to get you all to a place of understanding. You want to go walking and you want to start a walking group because you're afraid to walk by yourself? Call a couple of people. I invite people to walk with me all the time. People inbox me on Facebook. Now you all are punking out because you see me climbing hillsides and things, But if you want to come walking with me, let's go walking. You walk at the pace you want to walk. If you can only walk a mile, I'll put you on a park bench and sit you there in the park and say, sit right here and talk to the ducks and the people going by with your mask on. We'll get you when we come back around the corner. There are different ways. Agree, Don L. Forgive. Learn how to forgive. Be kind. Be loving. right? And learn how to say you're sorry. I was under so much angst and stress the other day. I was snapping at my husband yesterday, and I said, I'm so sorry. And I had to explain to him that I was feeling this anxiety level because there's so much going on around the country. And he says, well, we have each other, and that's how we're going to do this, right? Instead of going, well, he don't know, because it would have turned into an argument about football or about a plate in the sink when that wasn't it. So learn how to identify what the core problem is and don't make something else what it isn't, right? So, yeah. I mean, I don't know where all of that came from. It just kind of came out of me. And I try not to do that when I am on the radio, but sometimes I feel like we really need to get to a better place. So Dr. Archima Major is a doctor who, it may seem like I am promoting her, and in a sense I am. Not for her to get business, but to save your lives. To save our lives. We have got to get to a place where we start listening to people who are going to save our lives. And if I can go from full diabetic to no diabetes at all without taking that awful metformin, then lots and lots of you can do it, right? Lots of you can do it. And so if you're at work and you are in leadership and you're treating the people around you horribly, start changing that. All of that makes a difference in the way that you move and do things. If you're thinking because you have arrived and you own certain things and other people don't own it and you treat people that way, that comes back to you. Look at the people who have tons and tons of money and no friends. Right? They've never made themselves available. They've never opened themselves up to be kind and loving and, you know, and be aware of what's going on around them besides what's happening in their own sphere. We need each other to live and thrive in this world. So you can own everything on the land and still have no friends, right? What are we doing? We've got to be better and do better about all of this. So yeah, I'm there, you know. Wow. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox. We don't have anybody? We're good? Okay, so that's good. We're good? Okay, we're good. Okay, poor thing. I don't know what they were calling you for. All right, so New York Times. David Leonhardt, September 21st, 2020. He says, good morning. Today's newsletter is a special edition focused on Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court, and what happens now. Ruth Bader Ginsburg and other justices after the death of Chief Justice William H. Rehnquist in 2005. There must have been a picture of her. In the final decades of the 20th century, liberals and conservatives each had their own problem that kept their preferred judges from dominating the Supreme Court. For the conservatives, it was the unreliability of the justices appointed by Republican presidents. Some turned into relative moderates, Sandra Day O'Connor and Anthony Kennedy, while others drifted further left, David Souter, John Paul Stevens, and Harry Blackmun. For liberals, the problem was the mishandling of the Supreme Court transitions through the occasional surrendering of a seat so that a Republican president could fill it. In 1968, the last year of Lyndon Johnson's presidency, he appointed a personal friend to replace the departing Chief Justice, and when the nomination floundered on ethical grounds, the seat remained available for the next president, Richard Nixon, to fill. Later, two other liberal judges, Hugo Black in 1971 and Thurgood Marshall in 1991, retired under Republican presidents and were each replaced by a conservative justice. Marshall's replacement, Clarence Thomas, is still on the court today. If you want to understand why conservatives have come to dominate the court in the early 21st century, it's worth keeping in mind this history. In the simplest terms, conservatives have largely solved their 20th century problem. Republican presidents now nominate only deeply conservative justices. Liberals, on the other hand, have not solved their problem. The death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG. We all fell out on Saturday when we heard of her death. Like Marshall, a civil rights giant who demanded that the United States live up to its ideals, has created the fourth time in the 6 decades that liberals may turn over a seat to conservatives. Aware of this possibility, some legal scholars and writers pleaded with Ginsburg to retire while Barack Obama was president and Democrats still controlled the Senate, but she wanted to remain on the court. President Trump and a Republican-controlled Senate now have the opportunity to place a 6th conservative member on the 9-member court. The new justice would likely be a young one who could remain there for decades, potentially helping overturn Obamacare and Roe v. Wade, outlaw affirmative action, and throw out climate legislation. The bungled Supreme Court transitions by liberals obviously aren't the only reason that conservatives control the court. The unpredictable timing of death plays a role. So did Senator Mitch McConnell's unprecedented refusal to allow Obama to appoint a justice following the 2016 death of Antonin Scalia. The Electoral College's bias towards Republicans, allowing Trump and George W. Bush to become president despite losing the popular vote, matters too. Yet, the flipping of seats from one ideology to another has been crucial. The effect of each instance can last for decades, well beyond any individual justice's tenure, because each one can try to time his or her retirement to line up with the tenure of an ideologically similar president. Earl Warren, the liberal Chief Justice for most of the 1950s and 60s, understood this and deliberately announced his retirement in 1968, knowing he did not have long to serve on the court and fearing that Nixon would win election later that year. After Johnson failed to replace Warren, that is precisely what happened. Nixon's choice, Warren Burger, was a conservative who helped undo some of Warren's legacy. The next two Chief Justices, William Rehnquist and John Roberts, were also deeply conservative. 52 years after Johnson mismanaged Warren's retirement, the Chief Justice's job is still in conservative hands. If Trump replaces Ginsburg, the effect could be similarly long-lasting. The political battles of the next few months, both the court fight and the election, are about as consequential as American politics gets. I want you all to think about that. According to this writer, President Obama wanted RBG to retire while the Senate, the Democrats still had control of the Senate, and she said no, she wanted to hang in there, and that is her right. Well, now she has died, and we are all like, everybody threw their hands up in the air and was like, forget it, forget about it. That's it. If it's a if we have more conservative judges than we have anything else, then Obama, it's not even Obamacare. What is it called? The Affordable Care Act will be thrown out. Roe versus Wade, women's right to an abortion, because deeply conservative judges believe that abortion should be illegal, so among other things. And so we have to think, we have to get outside of ourselves and understand what is best for the people beyond us and where we are going. And so now we're at a critical time in this country. Do I have another caller? Autumn? Autumn, darling, are you there?
Hello. Yes.
Hi, sweetie. So you're going to be talking in my next segment. So give me 2 minutes, because I can't wait to talk to you all. We have plenty of time, okay?
Okay, great.
All right, sweetie. All right. So Ginsburg legacy. Much of her impact occurred even before she joined the Supreme Court in 1993 at the age of 60. She spent years as a lawyer who argued before it and other federal courts. As a lawyer, she used the court to make the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, in which the founders guarantee equal protection under the law for all citizens, applied to gender. A novel but necessary interpretation. Erin Haynes of the 19th wrote, oh, I know Erin and love her. She was an evocative writer and a sharp editor. One of her former clerks, Gillian Metzger, said, when I am writing, I will often have the experience of I'll write a sentence, then I'll look at it and I'll think, no, the justice wouldn't let me get away with that one. Ginsburg and her husband Martin modeled a marriage of equality to many people who knew them and took a deep interest in their clerks' lives. Joes Palmore, one of those former clerks, recalled the time the justice accompanied him on a surprise visit to a daycare center when he was struggling to find one for his child. She loved opera, theater, and art, and enjoyed a close friendship with Justice Antonin Scalia, her frequent opponent on the court. If you haven't read Linda Greenhouse's obituary of Ginsburg, we recommend it. And CNN reviewed Ginsburg's notable dissents and opinions. A vigil for Ginsburg outside the Supreme Court on Saturday for the New York Times. So that's coming up. The nomination fight. Trump says he will nominate a replacement for Ginsburg this week. And McConnell, the Senate Republican leader, has promised to hold a vote. Democrats will not have an easy time preventing confirmation because there were 53 Republican senators, 4 would need to defect, and none of them are running up against President Trump. 2 have moved in that direction. Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine have both announced that they would not support confirming a nominee to replace Ginsburg Ginsburg before Election Day. Murkowski left open the possibility that she could vote to confirm Trump's pick in the lame duck period between the election and the inauguration. Same choice. Another glimmer of hope for Democrats. The Senate election in Arizona this year is a special election to replace John McCain, who died in 2018. If Mark Kelly, the Democratic nominee, wins, he would take office as soon as November 30th, adding reason for Senate Republicans to act quickly. Many conservatives hope that Trump will nominate Judge Amy Coney Barrett. So here we go. We have a lot going on. I want you all to pay attention. Joe Biden's campaign signaled that it would cast the nomination battle as a fight mostly over health care, as an issue that favors Democrats, polls show, rather than divisive social issues like abortion. And see, I really want the Democrats to really pay attention to what's going on. They're actually considering, they've talked about this on MSNBC this morning, that they could try to stop a nomination by putting up impeachment hearings against Trump or Barr, his attorney general. They're trying to figure out everything. But again, if we had thought about this before all of this came down, hindsight is 20/20, right? So here we are. That was my little piece about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a woman and an icon who has done so much for civil rights in this country way before her time and long after she's gone. We must not let her death be in vain. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home in the happy hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. I have some fabulous students. Don't put them on yet. Let me introduce them. To introduce to you, every week on The Source, we have young people on here, right? We really want to elevate and get their voices out, and we're not trying. We are an informative and solution-oriented space, because we're not just here to hear ourselves chatter and, flap our gums about inconsequential things. These are life or death matter situations for us on the air and in our lives. And as Black people, we're unapologetic and our lives matter. So here we go. Police Free CSD, Quincy Rhodes, Brianna Freeman, and Autumn Angeletti. Police Free CSD is a coalition led by Cheltenham School District students working to keep police out of our schools. Police Free CSD issues these immediately actionable demands to the school board and superintendent of the Cheltenham School District. Remove all physical presence from Cheltenham schools. Police presence poses a threat and immediate danger to Black and brown students who comprise the demographic majority of the district and who are disproportionately targeted by racist and traumatic systems of policing and incarceration. Immigrants, students with disabilities, queer and trans students, and students of other marginalized identities also face disproportionate risk for violence and discriminatory action. We demand that Cheltenham removes all forms of violent physical police presence from educational spaces. These removal constitute: 1, eliminating the school liaison program that allows CPD officers into buildings; 2, permanently ending all contracting agreements that hire officers for after-school activities such as dances, sporting events, and blue and gold. Recraft the Memorandum of Understanding to minimize information sharing with the Cheltenham Township Police Department. These are students, y'all. I just need you all to know. Listen, it must be CSD's job, Cheltenham School District's job, to protect its students from the harm of police involvement, not further subject them to it. Pennsylvania law requires public schools to sign a Memorandum of Understanding which regulates school district law enforcement cooperation. It also grants Cheltenham School District discretionary power to notify the Cheltenham Police Department of designated non-mandatory incidents. We demand that the district uses this discretionary power to prohibit information sharing with the Cheltenham Police Department to the greatest extent possible within Pennsylvania law. We are crafting a detailed proposal outlining our recommendations for the upcoming review of the Memorandum of Understanding in 2021. You better stop playing with these young people. And 3, end punitive disciplinary protocol and expand restorative justice practices. Traditional practices of detention, suspension, and expulsion resemble harmful systems of policing and fuel the school-to-prison pipeline. Instead, we must implement restorative practices that emphasize true communal healing and accountability. This constitutes, because the children are speaking: 1, committing to end detention, suspension, and expulsion as an catch-all solutions to harm; 2, ending the late room hall sweeps and similar practices, all of which disproportionately target Black and brown students; and 3, designating and training numerous faculty and staff in each school as restorative justice facilitators; and 4, establishing restorative conferences as a commonplace practice for conflict resolution. My Lord, Autumn Angeletti, Brianna Freeman, and Quincy Rhodes, welcome to The Source. How are all 3 of you doing?
We are doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, well, you know, we're using this platform to get your voices heard. And quite frankly, I want to tell you, in a neighboring school district, something similar happened to a young a brown boy who had never been in any trouble, liked a young girl and was touching her back, touching her hair. You know how boys do. And he was suspended. And after he was suspended, the parents didn't hear anything else, only to find out that the police was coming to their house to put an ankle bracelet on a young boy under the age of 15 without anybody calling the parents to say that the child was arrested, any of those things. And somewhere between the school and the police department, they dropped the ball. So when I read this kind of stuff from you guys, and I hear the stories that are falling out still from school districts because they're not paying attention or whatever else is going on, and people are calling and saying things like, we thought we had called you. No, you didn't. This is life-altering for people. How did you 3 get involved in this process that you're in right now?
Well, okay. I'm Quincy, and first and foremost, I just want to thank you for having us on the show today. That means a lot.
You're welcome, Quincy.
So, Police Free SD, like you mentioned earlier, is a Black-led, student-led coalition, and it's non-hierarchical. So we all came together with, especially after the uprising for racial justice this summer, with the stories going around about police brutality and all that. And so we thought, how can we change the way the police system works in our districts at a local level? So that's when we came together and realized, okay, police contribute a lot of anxiety for students in our district, and so the main point I want to focus on is number 3 in our demands, is end punitive disciplinary protocol and expand restorative justice practices, because this ultimately contributes a lot to the school to prison pipeline. and that sending children to detention, suspension, etc., only leads for harsher punishment in the real world, jail, prison, etc. And so we want to retrain officials at our school and let them know that actions such as restorative justice and all that is a way to decrease the connection from school to prison pipeline.
Agreed. Brianna and Autumn, what would you like to add to that?
I would like to add that, and this is Autumn. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I am an alumni member of Police Free CSD. I graduated from Cheltenham High School in 2017, and when I saw what good work these current students were putting together to make this change in Cheltenham School District, I was drawn to it because similar demands were made when I was in school those several years ago. We wanted more mental health resources for our students. We wanted to end punitive discipline like detention and suspension. And we had an issue with the number of school resource officers walking our hallways every single day. So it means a lot to me that they initiated this work. And that's really what brought me into it, to give them the knowledge from the past that I have to uplift the work currently.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And Brianna?
Absolutely what Autumn was saying. I mean, for us, especially because being current students, we are some of the more highly respected students because we are members of student council, me and Quincy. So we've tried to bring this issue to the grand population of our school. And since we weren't getting that respect and that care that we needed, we decided to go outwards, and that's why we're getting the respect and the support from our alumni and our community members and people like you. So thank you once again for
you're quite welcome.
Your show.
You're quite welcome. The goal here is to highlight the work that you all are doing. And I mean, Cheltenham School District is just one. We've spoken to students from Abington, from all over the place, just giving students a voice so that you can be heard. Central High School students, oh Lord, they must call in here at least once a month, right? Because they want to get their voices. Germantown Friends, just all, we're giving you the kinds of platform, because I think adults oftentimes think, you know, well, they're just students, and you're never just anything. And you're the ones that are in the buildings experiencing what's going on. And so what traction have you gotten up to this point now that you have spoken about this? Because I have students from other school districts. There's a young lady in Abington, her name is Autumn too, by the way, who would like to connect with all of you. So I'm going to send her your way. She's 15 years old. So I'm going to send her your way so that you all can work together to figure out across school districts, because this is just not a Cheltenham School District thing, that is happening in many other places too. What traction have you gotten as a direct result of this work, and what has polarized? In other words, what has been done to stop you from doing the work? Because I know not everybody feels good that you're wanting to do this, right? And how have you managed to work around that?
Oh, well, absolutely. We've definitely gotten traction. During the summer, we've tried to create different campaigns. So especially during one part of our summer, we were hanging up posters and flyers and everything. And we were seeing like community Facebook groups acting in outrage and calling us a group of communists, and we're leaving our leaflet manifestos.
What?
So, yeah.
Yeah. And are these people in your community?
Yes.
And what did you do? How did you respond to the people in your community calling you communists?
Well, we actually didn't have to do too much, because there were members of our community that also stood up to defend us, empower us, parents, neighbors, all types of community members. And so it was actually really beautiful to see. It was overall a very mixed response. And we've received almost 700 signatures on our petition from students, alumni, faculty, community members, parents. And so that's really exciting too.
So what do you say? Because I remember when Cheltenham, the the student population was changing in Cheltenham, and you got to the place where you were 51% African American. And I remember, because I lived in Abington for 27 years, right next door to you. And I remember I was sitting on the school board at the time, and someone said, who will remain nameless, you know, well, we're just so glad we're able to keep the population of minorities to 20% here, and it'll never grow past that. Not thinking for a second how arrogant, egotistical, and crazy that sounded, right? And that this person also said there was going to be white flight out of Cheltenham. What have you experienced as a direct result of the shift in demographics of students at Cheltenham School District? Do you feel that things have gotten better for you as a direct result, or do you feel that the police has been there because there's a different thought process of how black students are versus other students? I'm asking, I'm not, you know. Hello?
Personally, I think the demographics from before and now has certainly shifted, and I think due to actions in the past that there has certainly been increased involvement with the police force. But I do think that Cheltenham likes to disguise itself and promote itself off of its diversity.
Yeah. But
they also contribute to a lot of the issues, starting with teenagers and policing a lot, since we have police officers and safety officers roaming the halls, which instills a lot of black students with fear, especially now with all the police brutality and social injustices going around in the news. And so it's interesting how Autumn said earlier that there were mixed reviews, but a lot of those who disagree with our movement like to use their past as a reference and try to tear us down, saying that teenagers these days are so privileged. And back in my day, we didn't have police officers as much, but what they fail to realize is that times are changing. And something with my generation is we're a lot more vocal, and we can spread a lot of messages through social media. And so that's something I think that has gained a lot of traction and helped our movement a lot. But we have to realize, like, we can't keep reflecting on past movements.
Right.
And we certainly can use them as a reference, but times are changing. So what happened 50 years ago for people in school has certainly changed now, especially with the changing times, and more stories are making surface.
Right. How did you come up with, so you are doing police-free CSD. Have you met with the superintendent, anyone from the school board, community members? How are you moving this along?
So we've met, we've connected with them multiple times. Actually, I sent the initial email, I'd say about a month or two ago. And then though we haven't gotten a response, so instead of like just waiting a response and waiting on them to take action, we took the next step by joining one of the school board meetings and infiltrated the chat, and different members of the coalition sent in responses saying how this needs to end. We need police out of the district, like bottom line. Police do not keep us safe. We have tools in our own hands to create safe and accountable communities built on mutual care and restorative justice, all without relying on outside law enforcement.
And you sent the restorative justice's tools to them so that they had those?
Yep, and then they were reading our comments, and though we did get a lot of backlash, I think there were a bunch of inconsistencies within the comments, which sort of caused a lot of issues within the school board, and we're certainly on the table of discussion. We're certainly making headway, I believe.
What can the community do in Cheltenham and out of Cheltenham to support your work?
Well, they can start by signing our petition if they haven't already. It's linked in all of our social media at Police Free CSD on Instagram and Facebook. We also have a website, policefreecsd.wixsite.com.
What site?
That it's policefreecsd.wixsite.com.
Spell that last site for me. Wix site? I don't know what that is.
WIX.
WIX, wixsite.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wix is just a web development platform.
I see, and you all are so young, anything is possible. So I don't no. Are other students from other districts able to join you? Because there's some doing something similar in the Wissahickon School District and in the Norristown School District. Are you joining coalitions, or are you just doing what you're doing on your platform where you are?
I think we can absolutely join coalition with other school districts across Pennsylvania. I think the police-free schools movement is something that's existed for many, many years. The Philly Student Union has been doing this for decades. And so I think there is beauty in student power across the state.
Yes. I love young people. You all just make me so happy. They're my corpuscles, I'm telling you. What message do you have for people who says this is, we need police in the schools? You've given them, and I mean, you literally have a nice list of demands here. One of your last, I think it was your last one here, says, add and expand mental health resources. Many of the conflicts currently addressed by policing and security would be better resolved by mental health practitioners. Instead of bolstering security, we must create conditions under which such criminalization is not necessary in our school community. This constitutes reallocating funds and resources from security into hiring more mental health counselors, social workers, and school psychologists. 2, committing to bolstering support for students with disabilities who are disproportionately targeted by policing and security. And 3, training all safety officers in a comprehensive community-developed program of de-escalation and trauma-informed practices. You all are knocking it out the park. Hold on one second. I have to take a quick break, okay? Can you hold on one second for me, please?
Absolutely.
All right. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. Excuse me, y'all. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my raspy voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
This is Council Member Alan Dom. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census to get the funding we need to recover from the challenges of COVID-19. The census brings funding to Philadelphia for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philadelphia loses $21,000 in funds over the next decade. We can't let that happen. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to www.2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay. Get counted, Philadelphia.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
First started in 2011, Philly Tech Week is an annual week-long celebration of technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation in the Philadelphia region. This year is the 10th annual Philly Tech Week presented by Comcast, now fully reimagined as a week of virtual events, from professional development seminars to highly engaging interactive virtual parties. You'll get connected with the ideas, tools, people, and processes that are building a better future for all communities. Virtual events run from September 21st to the 25th. Learn more and build your calendar at phillytechweek.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, you've missed a heck of a show, I'm telling you. Right now we have on Autumn Angeletti. I hope I'm saying Angeletti properly.
You are.
Oh, yay! Autumn Angeletti, Brianna Freeman, and Quincy Rhodes on, all from a group called Free Police CSD. Police Free CSD, trying to protect Cheltenham School District students from harm of police involvement and not further subject them to it. I've read their complete 2 pages of, not even demands. They're really requesting some things that would change and would eventually help the students there. It's not unreasonable. Is this list of the requests that you have here on all your pages so people can see them if they want to read them again?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. What do you want people to know as students about Cheltenham School District and the love that you have for it while you're doing all of this? That's the last question that I'm going to ask of all of you.
We're doing this simply because we care. I mean, a lot of times specifically our school board is saying that we're saying these things because we just want to trash it. But no, we want to build us up to be better, especially being Black people of color students. We see what's happening. I mean, in the 2018 to 19 school year, 100% of all the arrests were Black students. And
wait a minute, this is a factual data that you have?
Yes, according to the Safe Schools report.
Wow, 100% of all arrests in the 2018-2019 school year were Black students.
Yes.
Man, yeah. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and of the 15 arrests, 10 of them didn't even require police presence at all. So we don't need the police doing this, especially if they're disintegrating and minimizing the impact of our strong academically present Black students.
Yes. Beautiful. Anybody else would like to add to that?
And just going off that, like the institution of policing originates from slave patrols and inextricably tied to white supremacy and classism. The school districts across the country are waking up to this reality, are cutting ties with the police department. So we just feel as though it's Police 3CS or it's the Cheltenham Police Department's time to follow suit and we just need a breakaway.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
I would love to say that as a Black alumna of the Cheltenham School District, the faculty, the staff, and the board have instilled really incredible values in me and in my sisters and in my friends and in my peers to make change for good. And I think that that's the good work that Cheltenham School District is doing. And so, like Brianna said, this comes out of love and care for making our school district better. And I think the school board, many of them have responded very positively to our demands and are willing to work and continue the anti-racist work that they're doing. And so that's really beautiful to know, and I think it's a step in the right direction.
Oh my gosh, I could not have ended this any better. Autumn Angeletti, Brianna Freeman, and Quincy Rhodes, I want to continue to congratulate all three of you in doing the necessary work. You all understand now that power seeds nothing without a struggle, right? And so while it may feel uncomfortable and you may have mixed responses, just know that you're making an impact. I can't thank you all enough for being on the show with me today, and I wish you continued success in all your endeavors, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This show is coming to an end, but not before I talk to JB. JB from Clifton Heights. JB, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, how are you, Andrea?
I'm good. What can I do for you?
Well, I've been listening to your show. You had a great show on today.
Thank you.
You were reading earlier, and I think I'm the most appropriate person to end your show. You were reading about conservatives and the judges and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is what I was trying to emphasize earlier. As a man who grew up in segregated Alabama, and I was around conservatives all my life, I can tell you that those people are still functioning.
Yes.
That conservatism is what's causing us to have all the problems that we have in this country as Black people. All these other little pieces that you talk about, they all come from that same source. If your listeners would go on in the morning time between 10 and 12, you'll see a show called Francis and Friends on channel 25-2. It had on Candace Owens this morning. You're familiar with Candace Owens, right? They had that poor woman on there. All the white people were sitting around her, and she's telling the most lies after lie after lie. They are putting our own people up against stuff so they can get power. And once they get power, they're going to line up all the courts with all the conservatives so that when you get that ticket and you do all the right things, and be nice to the police and everything like Mr. Floyd did, and ended up getting tortured to death. He did everything right, and he ended up getting tortured to death. When you get court and try to go the right way, you're going to still come up against conservative judges taking the bench. So they're going to all be on the same side. Then when you get into the prisons, the prison people are also going to be conservative. So we need to know that this election has major consequences. I'm a moderate and I'm an independent, so I'm not even a part of the Democratic Party. But I'm going to vote for Joe Biden simply because I know what Trump is about. It's not just Trump, it's the conservatives that he is marketing on, because he used to be a Democrat in 2009, if you remember. He changed parties in 2009 because black Barack Obama was elected president. That's how he left the Democratic Party and went over to the Republican Party. They all did that back in the 60s and up to the 70s. When the liberals came in and the Negroes came in, as they called us, they defected to the Republican Party. It's the conservatism. It's not Democrat versus Republican. The conservatives were the ones who fought for the South to keep slavery. They fought the liberals of the North. It's not, don't get fooled by Republicans who freed the slaves and all this kind of stuff. They were the Republicans of the North. These are the Republicans of the South who were Thomas Jefferson's party. Jefferson started the republicanism, not Lincoln. Jefferson, the slave master. So they go in for it, and they can look this up. This is because I'm an A scholar in American history. They can look this up. It was called the Democratic Republican Party, and its people were called Republicans, and they were Southerners, Southern plantation owners. So these people came back home when they came out of the Democratic Party. They came back home. So the KKK and all those people, they're all conservative. So the only thing they have to remember is when you go to the polls, look for the conservative candidate and vote in the other direction. You can vote anybody you want to do, okay? Just stay away from conservatives because they're the ones who are causing the guns to stay in our communities. They're causing us to die in our bedrooms. They're causing no funding. They call this lady that you just had on a communist. Okay, they're the ones calling these people communists. They did it. You go on 25-2, 10 o'clock in the morning, and you'll see them, okay?
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to encourage everybody to do that, and don't forget to do that, because even if you want to, you're frustrated with liberals, if you want to vote on the local level in Philadelphia for the Republicans, that's fine. But don't vote on the national level, because that's going to give them way too much power. And then we'll never get it back.
All right.
Okay, so
Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you.
No problem.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andrea.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye. I want to end the show with what to expect over the next 6 months. This was written by the Philadelphia Inquirer by Tom Avril, Maria McCullough, Aubrey Whelan, and Jason Lawlin. It was updated today at 10:13 a.m. What to expect over the next 6 months of pandemic life, according to Philly experts. With 2020 dominated by a deadly, unpredictable virus that no one even heard of a year ago, most of us would rather look forward now than look back. Forward to the day when all children can go back to school, all workers can commute without fear, all businesses can open without masks, gloves, and temperature checks. In short, the day we go back to normal. But for at least the next half a year, experts agree pandemic precautions will still very much be with us. To get expert perspectives on what lie ahead, Inquirer's reporters spoke with a Philadelphia surgeon who quickly saw that some of the city's most vulnerable residents could not get a coronavirus testing they needed and did something about it. That was Dr. Ayla Stanford. A scientist whose team hopes to find better therapeutics to help the most desperately ill COVID-19 patients. An intensive care physician who have gotten the most desperately ill patient through the disease. And let me just see, because I want to keep track of the time, because I may have to come back to this on Tuesday to finish this conversation. So I'm going to talk about Dr. Ayla Stanford first. Like so many people, Ayla Stanford is still amazed at how quickly life changed this year because of the coronavirus. In March, my twins just had a birthday. On March 10th, they turned 10. That was the first day she came on WURD radio. We were going out to dinner to celebrate. I was letting them buy what they wanted at GameStop. By March 13th, everyone was out of school, she recalled. At first, they were saying this is only spread through person-to-person contact. You had to be in direct contact with someone from China, Germany, Italy, France. Otherwise, you were fine and it didn't affect you. A lot of folks, particularly African-American folks, went on with their lives. This was something rich people got who traveled overseas and took cruises. Then all of that changed. For Stanford, everything changed on April 3rd when she read that there were more African Americans being diagnosed and driving in the city of Philadelphia than any other race. What's the deal? He says, Stanford's response was to start the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, which provides free coronavirus clinics in some of the black neighborhoods hit hardest by the virus. I have been operating as a pediatric surgeon, but all surgeries were canceled because they were only doing emergencies. There was nowhere I needed to be, except testing, except being out in the community. There was no need for her to explain how deadly this virus could be. Most people knew that it was their family members that were dying. They could literally be coming from a funeral and then coming to get in line to get tested. We could go to the churches to test people, and we would start with a prayer or a moment of silence. You'd listen to the pastor say, I have had a funeral every day. I'm going to stop right there because sincerely, Serena will be on next for Happy Hour. I want to thank you all for listening to me today as I expounded on some things that were on my mind, what was going on in the news, and what would happen to all of us as we move forward for a contentious election, a virus that is still running rampant all over us, and tensions, emotional health that has been deteriorating because everyone has been on such an emotional roller coaster for the last several months. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.